All right, time is now 7 o'clock. I'm going to call to order the regular meeting of the Lansing City Council for November 10th, 2025. Mr. Clerk, could you please do the roll?
Councilmember Brown.
Present.
Councilmember Carter.
Here.
Councilmember Garza. Here. Councilmember Hussein.
Here.
Councilmember Jackson.
Present.
Councilmember Cost.
Here.
Councilmember Pelivanoglu.
Present.
Councilmember Spatafor. There are 8 members present, a quorum. You have for your approval the council proceedings of October 27th.
Oh, prayer, meditation.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm getting ahead of myself.
You're good.
We are to the meditation and pledge of allegiance.
Can we keep our Parks Director, Brent, in our thoughts tonight? His father, Kenneth, who was a teacher, principal, coach for decades, passed away. And he will be sorely missed by his community and his family. So if we can keep them in our thoughts, I would appreciate that. Do we have anyone else? Can we please rise? Thank you. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I bet we're on to
Okay,
these.
now you have for approval the October 27th council proceedings.
Vice President Carter,
I would make a motion to approve the October 27th minutes as presented.
proper motion in place. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously.
Okay, we are to special ceremonies and presentations. We have item 2 is Obsolete Property Rehabilitation Act District at 414 Baker Street, Maximilian Boortz.
Okay, and that is Councilmember Garza.
All right, thank you, Council President. Do we have Maximilian Boortz in the audience? Yeah, please come on down to the well, you guys, whoever's going to be here to speak on this. So this is Maximilian Boortz is a licensed builder for over 20 years, over 10 years in real estate development. He's aiming to get a Property Rehabilitation Act, the Oprah District for 414 Baker Street. So make sure your green light is on, you guys. Feel free to open this up, talk about why you're here, and then we will open it up for questions after that.
All right, excellent. Good evening. Can you hear me? All right, excellent. So we have a quick presentation here. There's a couple slides in. Max can fully introduce himself, but I'm Chris Klein with the Lansing Economic Development Corporation. So there's a couple of things that we want to cover, and we do have 2 very similar items tonight, this and the next presentation. That would be on an Oprah district. So I'm just going to cover the basics of that just in this one, just for sake of time on that. So first, what is an Oprah? And then talking through the development team, what the proposed project is, and then what the current request for.
Hey, Chris, can you pull that mic up
Yep,
just a
sorry.
touch? Thank you so much.
All right, I'll speak right into it.
Shout.
Now I can definitely hear myself. All right. So just basically what an OPRA is, so that's an Obsolete Property Rehabilitation Act, and this provides a property exemption on commercial properties. And so again, an abatement is sort of like a coupon, so it abates those taxes and it takes those off of the tax bill, and what it does is it freezes those taxes at the current unimproved rate for a certain amount of time. And so with this, every property has to be determined as functionally obsolete. That's done by the assessor, in which this property, as you'll see, most definitely qualifies. It is a 2-step process. And so the step before you currently is establishing the district, and that can be a parcel, as it is in this case, or multiple parcels to create a larger district. And then individual property owners have to then apply for a certificate, and that certificate is the actual abatement itself. So the district right now does not provide the abatement. That would be a separate action. And then this does go to the State Tax Commission for final approval. And so with that, I will turn it over to Max Boortz, tell you a little bit
similar experience renovating buildings in Lansing. I have worked with the land bank to acquire this property in its challenged state, and they have entrusted me with the opportunity to revitalize this particular property. And part of that responsibility is based in my experience revitalizing other similarly blighted structures in our city. I've redone an old bank at 913 West Saginaw Street that is currently occupied and viable, and another building that was in a similar state at 117 East Kalamazoo Street that is by the bus station not far from here, as well as a couple of other properties that were in a state of dilapidation, and I've been able to rejuvenate them and reintroduce them to our communities. And through those efforts, I've noticed that there is an infectious nature to improvement in the different neighborhoods. When I take on a blighted property or a really challenged property, and the people around the neighborhood and my neighboring property owners seem to notice that effort and contribute, and then their properties also, I've noticed, follow suit and begin to improve. I think that the fabric of the community is woven by properties that do have integrity and are places for our community. I think that 414 Baker Street has the potential to be rejuvenated as a beacon of hope for the Baker Street area. It has been in a state of disrepair and dysfunction for quite some time. But the brick walls of this particular property have character. And there is a red brick facade on this building that has attracted me to it, particularly that has maintained its character over more than a century of being in its place. And so I really hope that I can rejuvenate this particular property, and the incentive and the opportunity that the Oprah credit will provide hopefully will be a beginning part in the effects that will cause this building to become a gem in that neighborhood and hopefully be something that the community can be proud of. Thank you very much.
Great, thank you. Do we have any questions? Councilmember Hussein.
So you're considering mixed use for this particular property, right? So can you talk a little bit about what you envision in terms of the commercial aspect on the first floor, and then the residential piece on the second floor? How many units? What are the unit types, amenities, price? I mean, and I know it's kind of early, right, in terms of the plan. That's why you're not necessarily in front of us with a certificate request, but I'm sure you have some of these details kind of hammered out.
Well, the first floor area is and will be offered as a commercial retail space, and I envision some type of office or low-volume retail being in the main floor of that space. And the second floor will be rejuvenated as 2 apartments upstairs, and they will be 2-bedroom, 2-bath apartments that have the classic character of a building like that, and they have good views and vantage points of the cityscape from where they are. And this property being on a corridor makes it accessible and a good vantage point for any citizen who works or lives in the city. And so I think it'll provide an element of functionality. And also, this building was formerly used in exactly this capacity as first floor retail space and second floor living capacity. And in that capacity, I think it has a good deal of potential to reintroduce life to this corner in our city that right now is devoid of human living. There are restaurants around there and different businesses that people frequent, but on this immediate block there are not very many permanent residents. So having life there will create, I feel, a greater sense of place and give the community a property it can feel pride in.
Well, as I said in committee, and I'll say it again, hats off to not really only you, but also the LEDC. I think of, when these tools, and not just the Oprahs, but the Brownfields, and they were put in the toolbox back in the 80s, the 90s, met it several times since, but the idea was to, obviously reverse urban core deterioration. And what we've seen, I think, at least in my time on council, is well-established developers that have a ton of access to capital. They kind of approach the city, and they tend to know how to navigate the different pathways in terms of these incentives, and they traditionally invest in kind of the historic core of downtown, Old Town, and Real Town. So to see some of the work that you've done outside of that, I think is exciting. I think investment does beget more investment, which you spoke to earlier, and I think the LEDC is doing a really good job working with maybe lesser-known developers, maybe folks that don't have the same type of access to capital, maybe emerging developers, in terms of deploying some of these tools outside of that historic core so that we can move the entire community forward and not just that aspect of it. Thank you.
Thank
All right,
you.
I've got Councilmember Brown.
Thank you, and thank you for being here and the work that you have done in Lansing and the investment that you continue to make. With this particular project, you talked about housing, which is exciting for us. Could you talk about maybe the demographic you're looking to put in there? Is it affordable, marketplace? What are your thoughts relative to that and building the community? Thank you.
Yes, I don't mind at all. I hope to introduce the property as rental units that would be one at 80% of market rate and one at 100% of market rate. So I would be introducing a option at an affordable rate to create an attainability for this type of housing that may not be available in all cases.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for the thought of that and that investment. Thank you.
Councilmember Garza, followed by Councilmember Jackson.
All right, thank you, Council President. I appreciate you guys being here. Just real quick, I know you mentioned that this is kind of a unique property, that it's basically the building itself. There doesn't happen to be any parking spaces available right now on that property. Have you developed any property or rehabilitated any properties similar to this one?
Yes, I certainly have. The building at 117 Kalamazoo was a very similar situation where it sat on its footprint and it relied on neighboring parking. However, in this case, I do have an easement to park directly behind the building, and so I have access and an easement for parking there, and there were several pre-existing easements that granted that building access from different directions. And so that is not a particular problem in this case due to the fact that the easement is recorded and in place.
Perfect. Okay, thank you. I think I missed that during the committee meeting, so I'm excited for you. Thank you. Thanks for being here.
Councilmember Jackson.
Thank you. Just a question about how we're defining obsolete. A little background. So a lot of our properties that need help are using Oprahs and brownfields to get back up to appropriateness. But as far as obsolete, I heard you say that this building was used in the same capacity previously, meaning it sounds like retail on the bottom, residence on top. So if it was being used in that capacity, how is it obsolete?
Well, this particular building is quite dilapidated and is beyond its functional use. I accepted this building from the Ingham County Land Bank in a near state of its current condition. It has and continues to become more dilapidated and deteriorated over time. There literally was no roof on the building when I got it, so the entire interior of the structure right now is not viable. It will be a 100% rebuild from the ground up within the confines of the existing brick walls.
So is it that the building is worn down and needs repair is what makes it obsolete?
Yes.
And I can add a little bit more context to that as well, but I believe the building doesn't have any functioning plumbing or electrical, any sort of mechanicals at all in the building. And so it doesn't necessarily have to be a change of use, but understanding, even though it might have been used at one time for residential and commercial, right now, it is not built to be that. And so it's essentially entirely stripped down on the interior of the building. And the functional obsolescence determination that is required to be made by an assessor with a certain level of certification, which it has been determined to be functional obsolete.
And just another question. So this is a relatively small footprint of a property. It seems like compared to some of the other projects that use these incentives. Is that normal to be this small? Because it just seems like since it's so small that a developer with capital and ideas could, maybe do it without it. I guess, could you speak to that?
Well, I think it doesn't necessarily matter on so much on the size of the building, but understanding like the revenue that you can derive from a property as well. So understanding, the costs have to be in line with having one or two commercial spaces and then a couple residential spaces to be able to recoup that investment. I would say we've done many projects of this size. You'll see another one right after this as well. It's of similar size in a commercial district. The Oprah seems to work well in these scenarios. There's not as much upfront cost to the developer as there would be with like a brownfield, and then the fact that it abates the taxes really helps with the cash flow. So we have seen many. I'd probably say dozen or dozens of projects of these sizes. Maybe not. Recently, we've had a lot of larger developments, and you are correct with that. But it's not necessarily unique in a project of this size.
Okay, do we have any further questions? Seeing none, I want to thank both of you for being here.
Okay, our next presentation is an obsolete property rehabilitation act district for 1204 South Washington Avenue, Little Rock Ventures LLC.
Councilman Garza.
Thank you, Council President, and I believe I see Chris Rockwell and Emily Walensky. Okay. Yeah, please come on down. You guys know the drill. Obviously, they've already explained what an Oprah district is. This is another property looking to create an Oprah district at 1204 South Washington Avenue. So please, I see your green light is on. The floor is yours, and we'll open up for questions after that.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for taking your time to hear our presentation on 1204 South Washington. This building is, we're very excited to talk to you today about 1204 South Washington in Reotown. It has been, let me just stick to the agenda here. You're already aware of Oprah, what Oprah is, so we won't reiterate what that is. My name is Chris Rockwell. I have 10 years in real estate investment experience. Previously, I've done residential redevelopment. This will be my first mixed-use property. I've been looking for a mixed-use property like we have here in Reotown for quite a while. I think it's a great opportunity for us to invest in City of Lansing, invest in Reotown's development resurgence, and to bring about and participate in cultural vibrancy of the artistic community that is emerging within Reotown.
My name is Emily Walensky. I am a former business owner, an artist, and I will be heading up operations for both the gallery space that we're envisioning in the first floor of this mixed-use building, as well as any rental operations for the residence space upstairs. And I grew up in Lansing and have lived, born and raised here, lived elsewhere for a number of years, but moved back in 2021 and have just really wanted to contribute some of what I feel is possible in my expanding community. And there's great opportunity here with this building to potentially bring that forward.
So 1204 South Washington, it's a mixed-use building. It's two-story. It's approximately 3,400 square foot. We're seeking to activate the first level as an artist space, a gallery, a studio, something for a hub of the community, the artistic community. Second floor, residential, one unit. Currently, the upstairs is completely, I'll say completely needing redevelopment. There's no functioning electrical, no functioning plumbing. It's had a lot of years of neglect. A failing roof system has deteriorated much of the interior space. And in addition to that, with LEDC's help and assistance, we were able to identify the hazardous material that exists in the building, and so the asbestos as needing to be abated as well, to make this a habitable, a safe place for people to be and live.
All right, and then again, this is the same sort of request, just for the district to allow them to begin work to stabilize the building, and then hopefully come back before you with an application for a certificate. Would be the actual abatement itself.
Okay, do we have any questions? Councilmember Garza.
Thank you, Council President. Appreciate you guys both being here this evening for the presentation. Now, is that the only building that's not being utilized right now on that block?
I would say no. Okay. That's not the only building that's being unutilized on that block.
I mean, well, I guess out of the strip that they're all connected.
There's the prosthetics center on the corner
Okay.
that is like oddly vacant, yet there's like a tree growing inside for however long. The building next to it is vacant. Downstairs, it was formerly Rock the Block Studio, and they have since moved out, but are still operational. And the upstairs is, I believe, being renovated for a living space. And then the Family Motorcycle Club and the Rusty Mug are both operational. And then to the left of that, I believe that building is not actively occupied, but only recently so. It's listed as being for lease or for sale. I believe there was like a marijuana growing operation there before. So there's a lot of potential for that building too, but I would say, yeah, 3 of the 6 buildings on that block are active.
Okay, thank you.
Councilmember Jackson.
Thank you. This is mostly for Chris, and I guess you all can answer it too. And I don't want you to take offense or anything, but so I just want to see. So how does this all come about? You see this deteriorated building, because you all have a business, right? You all have
This is something that I am doing. Is the question
An emerging developer.
Emerging developer. I'm not sure what the actual question is.
Yeah, I was still going. So there's a building that is dilapidated that's basically not functionable or obsolete. And then how does somebody, like, I want to put my gallery in this poorly maintained building, do you first say I want to put it here so long as I get a Oprah? Or is it like, I bought this building with a vision, and now I know about an Oprah? Like, do you recruit people to take on that building? Because I just can't see how, it would be in a business plan to just take over a building that isn't going to function unless it gets some type of approval.
Yeah, I mean, each project is probably a little bit different and unique to this circumstance. I'd say here, often folks will identify a building or a certain location that they can see the potential in, but understanding the amount of work that it takes, so they usually engage with some sort of resource. That might come in maybe to the planning department, right, to understand what they can do there. And then, it was referred to us, or they talk to another partner and might get referred to us. And, talking through, it's different types of resources. So Chris had mentioned we did an assessment, environmental assessment, knowing it's an older building. There's likely to be hazardous materials of some sort, lead, asbestos, and the like. So starting there, so they understand, what they're getting into with the renovation, because that can often increase costs, and then, plugging them in with whatever other resources that might be available. For example, Max, that was up here, went through our emerging developer, our Seed Academy, to go through, getting some additional information on that. And we've had, folks take different paths to get there. I would say we don't lead with incentives, but understanding the difficulty and costs of redevelopment, and to some of the other points that were made with emerging developers and some of the lack of capital and access to being able to do projects such as this. We deploy incentives, we try to right-size them. We haven't completed that process, and that's why we're just going for the district here. And that's the case with both of these being the condition that they're in. It would disqualify somebody if they were to just start work and pull permits on it. So we have to start with the district. But we are still working with the developers to put together their financial package to make sure that everything's viable. So it's a little bit, unique case in each way that we approach it, but we tend to find the resources that fit best for those individuals and make the project happen.
Just a quick follow-up. You said that the cost would disincentivize people or prevent them from starting to work on it. Did you say that?
So if they begin work on it and pull a permit, it would disqualify them from an OBRA. So they has to be in a district before they can start work. And so that's sometimes we run them together with the district and certificate if everything's already packaged and ready to go. Sometimes we have to split that up if we need a little bit more time, but they don't want the property to deteriorate any further because that will just cost more down the road. They want to get that underway and at least stabilize a building. So sometimes we'll split that process.
I heard the last group say that they put a roof on it already. Would that be work on it?
So that one is still lacking a roof. It hasn't had a roof on it yet. And so, but if somebody was to put a roof on it, yes, a roof system would require permits that would disqualify them. They would have had started the project before seeking a district.
And I think I know, but last question is that this property's already been purchased, right, by you all?
Yes, it has.
When was that?
That was in September 10th.
Thank you.
I've got Councilmember Brown.
Thank you all for being here, and Chris and Emily for the foresight to look at something that has a little bit of challenge to it and say you want to invest and create something beautiful that serves our community. So I thank you so much. This is an exciting project in a good part of town, and I think you'll be highly successful. Thank you so much.
Do we have any further comments? Councilmember Hussein.
Yeah, I certainly appreciate Councilman Jackson's line of questioning. I guess, so first of all, I would assume that when you look at financing this project, you're going to put a capital stack together that basically this project's not going to be self-funded. Is that correct? This isn't coming from, do you know, you're going to actually go out for private lending, that type of thing. I guess my question is really to you, Chris. When we look at incentives like this, in projects like this, does it make it more realistic to be able to actually put a capital stack together when you have public support in the way of, as an example, an Oprah?
I would agree with that. Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
And then the second piece is, we talk a lot about affordability up here, but then we also get upset when we talk about incentives. In terms of, would you be able to make a project pencil out there when we're talking about one residential unit as an example, an art space downstairs, right? And still have affordable rents? Would you be able to make that pencil out without an Oprah?
I don't believe so, no. The margins are very tight.
Right.
And the goal here is to facilitate a community of, and to bring about, do something that we feel strongly about, and less so of the financial incentive. because financially, this is not a really good project, but it is something that we feel it will benefit the community and ourselves.
And I think that's important to acknowledge. So when you look at buildings like this that are deteriorating, rotting on the vine, they have been. One of the reasons is simply because in terms of the amount of investment needed, you wouldn't be able to, nor would we really want you to procure the types of rents that would be needed to make a project like that pencil out. And so in order to make these when you look at square footage as an example, dollar per square footage, to ensure that it is affordable for people in our area, these certainly, I think, help in that way. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Do we have any further questions? Okay, seeing none, I'm going to thank all three of you for being here tonight.
Thanks for your time.
We are to comments by council members and the city clerk.
Councilmember comments. Councilmember Spatafor.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just wanted to announce for those folks in the West Side neighborhood, but also anyone interested, Tuesday, November 18th at 5 p.m. at Let's Community Center. We're hosting a community meeting on the CSO project and the tree work that's being done in the neighborhood. Answer questions for residents of the West Side neighborhood.
Thank you. Councilmember Brown.
Thank you. Just wanted to give a public congratulations to all the members of Tabernacle of David. I heard you guys had a wonderful consecration service, and so many people who are doing great things in the community have been. Congratulations.
Thank you. Councilmember Hussein.
Sure, I want to thank folks that came out to our Southwest Lansing Constituent Contact meeting this past Saturday. I have a short list of folks that I want to especially thank for coming out as they came out kind of on short notice. I thought they provided a wealth of information for folks, and I just really appreciate the fact that these individuals continue to create some measure of access to themselves, right, in their public representation. So to Council President Cost, we appreciate you being there. Councilwoman-elect Clara Martinez was on hand. City Clerk Swope, Mayor Shore, we certainly appreciated you being there. Charter Commissioner Washington, Neighbors and Citizen Engagement Director Delisa Fontaine was there. Our lead housing inspector, Meredith Johnson, was there. But most importantly, obviously, the residents and the business owners in Southwest Lansing, we certainly appreciate you being there. We meet second Saturday of just about every month. We will not be meeting in December, however, but we will be back at it January, I believe it's 10th at 10 a.m. Slight change in terms of location. We typically meet at the Frieda Schmidt Southside Community Center, which is at 5825 Wise Road. But we are going to, in January, only meet at 1221 Rio Road, which is the location of the former Rio School. Mike Lynn, the Empowerment Network Center, the Village Lansing, we have the Financial Empowerment Center and the Lansing Empowerment Network there. But they're doing a lot of work to try to ensure that particular building, which is really positioned kind of as a hub of that community, that as they kind of reimagine what that is, particularly with, as an example, the city clerk's office moving out to the new election unit on Washington, Jolly, sorry. How do they ensure that programming continues to be rich there, continues to be a hub for the community, the capital investments in terms of the building and the premises continues, and so they are excited to have us. We're going to actually be in that space. They're going to talk a little bit about the programming that is there now, kind of what they envision into the future, and the partnerships they're looking at, kind of in engaging in with regard to the school district in the city to make sure that in perpetuity that remains a viable place for our community. Also, there's a number of neighborhood meetings in Southwest Lansing this month. There is a slight change with regard to Colonial Village that we're scheduled to meet next Tuesday, which would have been November 18th, but rather than next Tuesday, they're actually meeting tonight from 7 to 8:30, so we certainly don't want you to show up next Tuesday. There was a scheduling conflict at United Methodist Church at 1900 Boston Boulevard, so again, they are meeting tonight. Churchill Downs Community Association will be meeting Tuesday, November 18th, 6:30 p.m., and that is at the Frieda Schmidt Southside Community Center at 5825 Wise Road. And then lastly, in the way of neighborhood meetings, we have Luton Rich Neighborhood Association, which is meeting Thursday, November 20th at 7 p.m., and that's at the Mayflower Church at 2901 West Mount Hope. Also want to alert folks that the Ingham County Board of Commissioners will be meeting this Wednesday, November 12th, and that's at 6:30 p.m. In the Commissioner's Room at the Courthouse at 341 South Jefferson in Mason, Michigan. There is a option to participate via Zoom. They are going to be discussing the advancement of plans for a juvenile detention center in Southwest Lansing. And the reason why I think it's critical that people know that that's happening is they've actually been having these conversations dating back to about 2022, but those conversations have been happening pretty privately. The Law and Courts Committee made the plans for a new juvenile detention center in Southwest Lansing at 1601 West Holmes, somewhat public back in September, right? So we're just talking a couple months ago. At that time, they said that there was no actual proposal before the commission, but that they were starting to kind of unveil the options to the public at that time. However, very quietly, within the last week, the Law and Courts Committee actually took the proposal that we had heard was not in front of the committee, took that, put it on a consent agenda, and passed it with no public input. And so it is actually before the commission for passage this Wednesday. I struggle for a few reasons. Number one, there were a number of viable locations that they could have chosen, and they chose this particular location. And as they discussed the reasoning behind that in 3 different meetings, 2 that I was actually present in, a number of county officials talked about our youth in Southwest Lansing, that they are the most apt right now to be incarcerated or to be placed, I should say, into this facility, and that as they're investing in a facility that will stand for the next 40 to 50 years, that they believe that this is where the youth will continue to come from. And I take exception to that. Nobody's going to speak about the youth in Southwest Lansing like that, and then use that as their rationale to put a detention center in Southwest Lansing. And I made the case that our kids are incredible. 99% of them haven't seen the inside of a principal's office. And so for you to talk about our children that way it's unconscionable, frankly. So I hope folks make their voices heard. I think the process was anything but appropriate, and I think they really need to apologize, frankly, to Southwest Lansing, to our citizens, to our children, in terms of how they have characterized us through this process. And speaking to amazing young people, we actually have the Waverly Student Council on hand with us tonight, along with their staff advisor, Mr. Kevin Kasel. These individuals I watched, as I am a public school teacher at Waverly Middle School, I watched as they made themselves very vulnerable over the past couple months. They stepped up, they threw their name in the hat, they campaigned, they collected petitions, and ultimately they were selected to advocate on behalf of their peers for better programming within their schools, better interconnectedness between staff and students, between administration and students. And so my hat is off to them. I wanted to very quickly name them, and if they are actually present, I would love if they would stand up along with maybe their parents, if their parents are on hand. Let's see, we have Mackenzie Adams. Mackenzie's here. Please stand up and be recognized. We have Amari Anderson, Destin Brown, Brittany, I know you're out there. I saw you. Brittany Caston, Marcella Clement Gray, along with her mother. I know she's here as well. Go ahead and stand up. No, you can go ahead and stay standing because we want to recognize you and all the fantastic things you guys are doing. Jocelyn, I don't know if I saw Jocelyn. Jocelyn Hadley, Margaret Hunt. We know you're out there, Margaret. Go ahead and stand up. Chloe Johnson, Regier McCarty, and as I said earlier, we're going to put some respect on this man's name. This is President McCarty, right? Emily Promoda, Azan Reese, Leona Schaefer, August Bassis, and McKinley Wolf. We appreciate everything you guys are doing, and you were able to talk to a number of council members tonight, and they all had the same message: keep going. We appreciate you guys.
Okay, do we have any further council comments? I have just a few. One, December 6th, 10 a.m. will be the first ward contact constituent meeting. We are going to have the folks there from the data center that's being proposed over on Kalamazoo Street. We also will have BWL on site. They're going to give a presentation, and then they are going to answer questions that people may have. There's a lot of questions about this project. That's at the Geyer Community Center, which is a change of venue. That's 2400 Hall Street. It's on the north end of Lansing. All are welcome to attend. Again, that's December 6th at 10 a.m. The second thing I want to mention is congratulations to the people that won this election. The mayor, Peter, Jeremy that's up here, the two members that elect, and I want to thank the people that ran. It's a lot to put yourselves out there. I appreciate you. I see you. I hope you stay involved in the community. And then thirdly, we had the electorate vote to change the charter, and it's been spoken, it's been done. We had, Councilmember Jackson and myself had concerns about a mailer that was brought up. I turned in a complaint to the Secretary of State. I was what I thought was transparent in their two-day decision that they found nothing wrong with it. I had told the city attorney, people from the press, members of the community. Some people did not hear that, and there was an email chain that mentioned my name among charter members. And so I wanted to clear the air myself that they found nothing wrong with the Secretary of State with that mailer, and the election is over, and I'm moving on to do the people's business, and I have nothing further to say about the mailer. It's done. So with that, those are my comments.
Okay, and I do just wanted to take a moment and thank everyone that participated in the election that we had last Tuesday. We had about 22.5% turnout, so that's pretty good for a mayoral year. It's not great, so I always hope we can do better the next time, so I'm sure we will. I particularly want to thank my team who worked hard, and not only did they work hard, but we accomplished moving our offices between the elections. So we're in a great new facility. Everybody who's been there is saying how wonderful it is to see a nice city facility. So I'm very proud of our city for that. And all of our election workers who diligently worked in the polls and absent voter counting boards and every place. So thank you to everyone, and I also thank the candidates and congratulate both those who were successful and were not. I know a lot of people put in many, many hours. I got many flyers at my door. So appreciate all of your hard work and dedication to the city. I think running shows the dedication to the city. And I do want to thank President Cost for bringing that to light about the flyer not having been found in violation. I appreciate you mentioning that. Thank you. That's honorable, and you are an honorable person. And with that, we are to community event announcements. You have 1 minute to tell us the details of your event.
So first, this week, this Wednesday, neighbors of Scott Woods, they're going to be having their November community meeting this Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. at the, the Slice by Saddleback, yeah. It's going to be at Slice by Saddleback, and also next Wednesday, a week from Wednesday, is going to be the Old Everett neighborhood meeting on the 19th, also at 6:30 p.m. At the South Lansing Library, where we will discuss how we'll deal with our grants, since we now actually do have a bank account and we don't need a fiduciary anymore. No offense to Scott Woods, but still. And we'll be looking at trying to get people to join our neighborhood, as well as possibly re-electing our current slate of members. So please consider attending. And again, we still got vacant positions we got to fill.
Thank you. Other community events? All right, then we are to the close of registration for public comment on legislative matters. If you wish to address City Council on legislative matters, or on the show cause hearings, if there's anyone here representing the properties, the property owner for the 4 properties up for show cause hearings, that's the green sheet in the back for public comment on legislative matters, which is items 8 through 21 on the agenda, including the 2 public hearings. That is the blue sheet. We'll give you another minute to get up and sign in with Sahand in the back. And with that, we are to the mayor's comments.
Mayor Shore.
Thank you, Mr. President. First, I want to congratulate and thank, well, first I want to thank the citizens of the city of Lansing, whether you voted for me or not. I appreciate the faith in the leadership and will be representing everybody. All 100% of the people that voted, all 100% of those that live here, whether you voted or not. So I thank the citizens, and I really do look forward to another 4 years, and I appreciate it, and I look forward to working with this council. I want to congratulate the folks that won, Councilman Garza, Councilman Spatafor, Councilwoman-elect Navarez-Martinez, and Councilwoman-elect Martinez, and I want to thank those who ran and weren't successful. Somebody on the campaign trail, actually it might have been Adam, who said at your meeting, I think you said, running for office and putting yourself out there is one of the hardest things that you can do. And we've all been through it, and many of you in the audience. So just putting yourself out there and having people say whatever they're going to about you and being in the public is tremendously hard. And so I thank everybody who put their name out there in the primary and in the general. I have a few announcements. One, you'll see a press release tomorrow morning, but I wanted to tell council first tonight and those watching. We have a new city treasurer. We have a gentleman named Christopher Wright. He goes by Chris. He will be joining the city. He is starting in the next few days. Press release will go out tomorrow to the media. So anybody who's watching this is getting advance notice, but I wanted to tell council members first. We've finalized. So that's good. And I want to thank Crystal Thomas for all that she has done in doing 2 jobs at the same time. So we are excited that we will have a new city treasurer. He came from Grand Rapids. He understands income tax. So this is a good thing for the city. I want to announce we have a road construction input website. I know Adam gave out the flyer at his meeting. I can't remember what the website is, but if you go to our site and you go to the homepage and go to the public service department, we're asking folks to put in your streets. I heard it every time I was out on doors. I heard it from people. My street, my street. We're asking you to put your streets in. We do a PACER rating, but we want to hear from the public. As we have another $5.8 million that we got from the state. We're looking at solutions on neighborhood roads. We want to hear from the public on what roads you want to see repaired. So please go to that site and put your road in if you want to see it repaired. Yard waste will start weekly this Wednesday. I know it's a little bit of a challenge because the leaves didn't fall until the snow came down. And I saw this morning, as soon as the snow came down last night, trees realized it was time to drop leaves. Now you've got snow and leaves. We do expect the snow is going to melt before it comes down again. And thank you. And so we will be picking up leaves weekly. I've seen a lot of bags on streets. So those are going to be picked up weekly. Thank you for the save, Councilman Spatafor. The website is lansingmi.gov/construction input, all one word. I don't know how I forgot that. So please go there. We are currently under a blue alert. We got notification yesterday that temperatures were supposed to drop significantly. So we issued a blue alert yesterday, and that will be until tomorrow at 7 a.m. when temperatures are supposed to increase again. So we've got more resources, and we've got the press release out. Let's was open last night, will be open tonight. The shelters, the CATA, the BWL, everyone is involved. Speaking of tomorrow, tomorrow is Veterans Day. So the city will be mostly closed, although there are several events that are going on. So if you want to celebrate Veterans Day, please join one of the events that are going on in our city or in our region. I want to thank everybody who participated at the food drive at Tabernacle of David on Wednesday, including Councilwoman Carter, who was there smiling as we were all very cold. But we gave out a lot of food, folks, a lot of food. They had anticipated 450, and we well, we stretched it, and we gave out 601 boxes of food to people, stretching it. 601 boxes of food, when you have 3, 4, 5 family members, you're looking at about 2,000 people that we gave food to. The city of Lansing put in a little bit of extra money, but when you hear about federal government and shutdown, I'm not weighing in on that, but I am weighing in on the fact that when you cut SNAP benefits, that's real, and people are hurting. So it was an honor to be there and to give out food. And then on Sunday, it was great to be at Rudder Park as Cardboard Profits helped out and gave out clothing and necessities to folks. So I'm proud of Lansing that we are helping those that need the help. We want to grow the city, but grow it all for all and leave no one behind. And that's not just a campaign thing, that's real for all of us. Last but not least, I want to remind everybody, a week from Friday is Silver Bells in the city. So please come check out the Electric Light Parade. We get tens of thousands of people. And it's just the most positive thing that we see in Lansing, with so many people coming and celebrating our city, lighting the tree, music, fireworks, the drones. It's always a lot of fun. So I hope everybody will come downtown. Parade usually starts at about 6. So come downtown, and if you're not going to Silver Bells, then get out of downtown early because it's usually pretty crazy. But I hope to see everybody there. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mayor Shore.
Okay, we are to show cause hearings. We have 4 show cause hearings tonight in consideration of make safe or demolish to the owners of 5210 South Washington Avenue, 6255 Marywood Avenue, 509 Baker Street, and 906 Prospect Street.
Councilmember Pelly Vonnegut, and you can just roll with all 4.
Thank you, President Cost. Just a note that these properties will be heard at the Public Safety Committee meeting on November 25th, after today's date. The first property is 5210 South Washington Avenue. The state equalized value of this property is $44,700, and the estimated amount of repairs is $77,699. This property was originally red tagged on June 25th of 2024. On October 27th, it was referred to council for a show cause hearing. Moving on to the next property, 6255 Marywood Avenue. This property was originally red tagged on July 7th of 2022. It has an SEV value of $33,800, and the estimated amount to repair is $101,472. Again, this was referred for this show cause hearing on October 27th to be heard this evening. Next, we have 509 Baker. This property was red tagged on June 23rd of 2023. It has an SEV value of $18,000, and the estimated cost of repair is $133,944. Again, it was set for show cause on October 27th to be heard this evening. And last, we have 906 Prospect Street. This was originally red tagged on August 2nd of 2024. It has an SEV value of $59,000, and the estimated amount of repairs are $144,961.
Thank you.
Okay, we have one property representative here, Brady Diller. You have 3 minutes to address the council.
Hi, Brady Diller. I'm here on behalf of Freedom Mortgage Corporation. As you can guess from the name, we hold a mortgage on the property. Just here to kind of establish the line of communication. I was here about 3 weeks ago and meet with some of the Public Safety Committee members. At this time, we're working through the foreclosure process. I believe it became delinquent in May. And so obviously, to this extent, we are legally allowed. We're trying our best to help remedy the property, but until that foreclosure and title transfers, obviously there's not a ton we can do. But just here to kind of let you guys know that we're working on it, and it's not going to be fallen by the wayside, and we're working to address it and bring it into compliance.
Thank you. All right, then moving on to public comment on legislative matters. We have 2 public hearings, which are the Oprah districts that we heard about earlier, as well as items 10 through 21 on the agenda. Do we need any additional overview?
If Councilman Garza is fine, I don't think we need any additional overview on those.
Just that they'll be referred back to Development and Planning this Wednesday,
Okay.
November 12th.
Thank you.
Okay, our first speaker is Alicia Flowers, followed by Tanya Brown.
Can you clarify which number it is? Is it 17 or 18?
Is, well, item 17 is the Historic District Study Commission, Study Committee relative to 108 South Martin Luther King. Item 18 is the rescinding of the Make Safe or Demolish. So I think item 18 is what most of you are.
I'm
Well,
17.
I'll let you decide. You can
Okay.
talk about both of them.
Thank
You
you.
have 3 minutes.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the City Council. Darius B. Moon, The History of a Michigan Architect, 1880 through 1910, written by historian James McLean, records that Mr. Moon purchased a lot in Lansing in 1872. Over the winters of 1874 and 1875, he felled the trees, milled the lumber, and built his own double house, what we know today as 108 110 South MLK. Mr. Moon lived on one side and leased the other. The Lansing Republican recorded activity as early as 1880, and city directories confirmed this. Lord help me, confirmed his evolution from 104 to 106, 108, and finally 108, 110 South Logan. These are not assumptions, they are published historical facts drawn from Moon's own writings and historical documents from that time. Because these records already exist, written by Moon himself and confirmed by historians, the property's history is already established. No need to confirm what is already known. The State Preservation Act 169 of 1970 was created to help cities identify historic areas. When that history is already clear, forming a new committee does not protect preservation. It risks appearing as a delaying tactic and weakens fair governance. When process is used to control outcomes instead of ensuring fairness, it no longer serves the people and trust erodes immediately. Preservation should celebrate what is known, not be used to postpone a fair decision that has already met both legal and moral standard, the resolution to remove the MSD. So tonight, I respectfully urge the council to vote no on the Historic District Study Committee resolution and to vote yes to remove the Make Safe or Demolish order from 108, 110. If the Historic District Study Committee resolution was submitted out of purity, please vote no, because all it will do is tie the hands of the resolution to remove the demolition order on the MSD. That's not fair. If you do your study, you will find out there is already a historical, covenant, thank you, placed on the exterior of that house. That house was already deemed historical. We had someone come out last year and they said the footprint was so small that it was not necessary to make it a historical district. Stop. Please stop. Just let us do what we need to do to make that property valuable. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is
Order, please. As we have speakers up here, can you please refrain from clapping so we can have an orderly process, part of our council rules, so everyone who has an opinion on this does not feel intimidated. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Tonya Brown, and I'm here standing with my sister and friend, Alicia Flowers. I'm here to state that I'm extremely proud of her for the work that she's done at 110, 108 Martin Luther King. And I'm here to ask for mercy and grace so that she may continue to finish what she has started. I stand with Lisa on removing the MSD. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Greta Trice, followed by Kylie.
Good evening, Mayor, and good evening, council people. I thank you, and I also stand and ask you to rescind the safe and demolish decision that's there. This is a property that has been utilized has plans for uplifting the community, uplifting our neighborhoods, uplifting the property values in the area. It would be an awful oversight for you to not allow this woman to continue the work that she's done, especially in light of the conversations that we heard tonight by business owners who also have the right for Oprah and tax abatements, which she probably does not qualify for because of the same difference. But the standards are the same. And I would ask you to consciously consider rescinding this demolish order. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you. Next is Kylie, followed by Ernest Luckett.
I am kindly asking that you guys make the necessary decision to remove the MSD. It is right what my grandma is doing to make a cause and impact onto others for the city of Lansing. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Ernest Luckett, followed by Kenneth Fuentes.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the City Council. My name is Ernest Luckett. I would like to draw attention to the order of the agenda items tonight. The resolution to establish a historic district study committee, HDSC, for 108-110 South MLK was placed as item 17, while the resolution to rescind the make safe or demolish MSD order for the same property was placed as item 18. That order matters. The MSD removal resolution was submitted first, yet it now follows a newly introduced measure that could directly impact it. When a procedural item designed to delay appears before a resolution rooted in fairness and compliance, it changes more than the discussion. It changes the outcome. If the Historic District Study Committee resolution were to pass first, the make safe or demolish removal would be automatically halted. Under Act 169 of 1970, once a study committee is formed, the property is treated as if it were already within historic district, and all enforcement and construction activity can be paused while the study is conducted. That means no permits, no inspections, no physical progress, effectively shutting down the MSD resolution and reopening the path to demolition by default. This sequence gives the appearance that one resolution, the establishment of the Historic District Study Committee, is being used to neutralize another, the resolution to remove the MSD from 108-110 South MLK. Fair governance begins with order, and order begins with doing what's right in the right order. So I ask, how can the people of Lansing trust a council member who uses procedure as a weapon to undo progress made in good faith, knowing it will undermine the integrity of this entire city council? Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Kenneth Fuentes, followed by Tracy Edmond.
Good evening, members of the council, Mayor.
My name is Kenneth Fuentes. I'm here tonight to support my friend and family member, Miss Alicia Flowers, on 17 and 18. You guys are the experts on all the laws and the decisions that have been made, but what I want to talk about tonight is the fact of more time. Now, we just had an election last week, and in that election, some of you were given more time. About 22% of us said, you know what, your job is not done, you need more time. Lansing's a great place to live. It's a great place to work. It's a great place to work, to raise a family. However, it's not without its problems. It has many problems if we just look around. But as a trusted citizen, I trust when I cast my vote, I'm giving you more time. We are asking you to just give Miss Alicia Flowers more time, to rescind this MSD order, and to do away with the establishment of the Historic District Committee. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next is Tracy Edmund, followed by Jacob Nicholas.
Good evening. Hello, Mayor Shore. Congratulations and honor to all the council members here tonight. I'm back here asking for grace and mercy again. Specifically tonight, I'm not going to deal with the law part of it, but I do want to address this to President Cost and Councilmember Hussein. You remember October 14th, you had a discussion in your Public Safety Committee meeting. And if you go back to it, right around the 24-minute mark, you begin to address 108, 110. And I was quite shocked. I was excited because I thought you two were going to start fighting for Alicia Flowers. And I found out you weren't fighting for her. You were fighting to find out who was going to be bringing forth a resolution. And then at that point, I became discouraged and disappointed. I heard your views. I respect the way you conducted the meeting. You had some good points. But I think you missed the point. Mr. Koss, you said, and I quote, "She's had the house for 4 years and have done nothing with it." That was not true. $80,000 later, and you're telling me she didn't do anything with that property? You didn't consider the hardship. She bought the house right before the pandemic, and 1.5 years was taken from her. And then right after that, at the end of 2022, she was battling cancer. That took another 1.5 years. So in my mind, you owe her 3 years. You didn't consider that. So somehow we have to transcend routine and procedure and how we confront the people of Lansing. You cannot put Alicia in the same category that you have put everyone else in this city. Everyone must be treated differently, uniquely. You have to listen to what's going on. And Mr. Hussein, you said some things, and I respect you do some good work in the city, but you said some things that were wrong too. You said she has been given every opportunity, and at every turn she failed. Go back and listen to the film. It kept me up all night thinking that you would say something like that. I choose today to believe you were misinformed. I believe you didn't understand the process. I believe you didn't understand that she had hardships. I choose to believe if you had had that information, it would have been a different decision from you both. Because I know you work hard and you have done great work around here, but that day, you got it wrong. That day, you got it wrong. And so I'm pleading with you, and I know everything has not been done right here. I know that a deadline might have been missed, but she was still within the law. And you kept just harping, Mr. Koss, on the fact that she had 20 days after the red tag to appeal it. Now you tell me, who in Lansing has that information? Everyone's not a legal mind. So maybe you can include that in your information the next time. Tag it and say, hey, you got 20 days. And now you can walk away saying you've done everything you can.
Thank you. Thank you.
And thank you, Mr. Hussein.
Next is Jacob Nicholas, followed by Kimberly Cannon.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. I want to thank you guys for your time, and congratulations to those who just got reelected. Again, we're just asking for more time, really, simply put. My name is Jacob, and I'm here tonight to urge you guys to vote yes to rescind the MSD order on 108 and 110 South MLK. Rescinding the MSD order is only the right thing to do. It is no different than giving a second chance to anybody else. Since she pays taxes, come on, simply the right thing to do. And let's talk $80,000 again. You know, same guy. It's a lot of money to anybody here, right? We had a lot of hardships, even anything that's going on in the government right now, the shutdown. You know, this is a large sum of money. I'm battling cancer and all that stuff, right? We just need more time. And my point here is Lansing has worked hard to become what you guys would call the all-inclusive welcoming city, right? You guys just voted to become that, I don't know what, last month you guys decided you guys wanted to be the welcoming city for LGBT community members. But what about the regular members that live here in this city, that pay the taxes? What about those people, right? And if we were able to do this, it would show that Lansing doesn't just talk the talk, right? We're here to help all the city members. And being a welcoming city means that you guys have to give these people a second chance. And this property deserves that second chance. This vote is about fairness and moving forward in this community. And Lansing believes in improvement and opportunity and working together to make the city stronger. So I'm asking you guys for more time. And again, thank you. And thank you for your service, and please just consider. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Kimberly Cannon, followed by Josiah Flowers.
Hello, my name is Kimberly Cannon. Congratulations, Mayor, and to the City Council. Good evening. I'd like to follow Ms. Flowers' comments by briefly addressing the process behind the issue, specifically how Act 169 of 1970 can appear to be a delaying tactic rather than a preservation tool. Michigan's state preservation law, which is Act 169 of 1970, was written with good intent. It allows cities to appoint a historic district study committee to determine whether a property or area has architectural or historical value before a district is created or changed. However, in practice, the timing of when the act is invoked can determine whether it serves preservation or just delay. When a study committee is introduced after a property has already demonstrated historic significance, or while a decision like the removal of a make safe or demolish order is pending, it can shift from being a preservation tool to a pause button. Under the law, once a study committee is formed, the city can temporarily treat the area as if it were already a historic district. That means building permits, stabilization work can be paused until the study is completed, which can be anywhere from 190 days to a year. If the make safe or demolish order remains in place during that pause, little to no visible change can happen. Given the false impression of negligence, ultimately, it reopens the door to demolition. When this happens, the law no longer protects history. It promotes misconception of inactivity. True preservation isn't about delays, it's about discernment. Act 169 should be used to discover history, not to disrupt those already working to restore it. So I would urge you from my heart to vote yes on the resolution to remove the make safe or demolish order from 108-110 South MLK. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next is Josiah Flowers, followed by Josiah Seth.
My name is Josiah. City Council, I urge you to vote no on the resolution to establish a new. My name is Josiah. City Council, I urge you to vote no on the resolution to establish a new historic district study committee. It is not necessary. Please vote yes on the resolution to remove the make safe or demolish order from 108-110 South MLK. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next is Josiah Seth, followed by James Flowers. Okay, James Flowers, followed by.
Hello, my
I think
name
we've
is,
got some-
good evening, Mayor and council members. Oh. Good evening, council member, Mayor. My name is James Flowers. I am this beautiful lady here, Elisa Flowers. It has been a challenge just to sit and watch my wife go through what she's gone through. And I stand 100% with her because I pray tonight that everyone, you that sit up on that board tonight, that let God deal with your heart, the change of heart. Every time I go down, I look in this city, I look at broken windows. When I see broken windows, I see people heartbroken. When I see boarded up doors, I see people are trying to get in. So they're looking for a place, a safe place. And that's all we're trying to do. We're looking for a place. We want to help people. I say tonight to you, eyes have not seen, ears have not heard. So I encourage you, let God deal with your heart and your mind and your thoughts. Thank you.
Thank you. And next we have Lisa Flowers. Is that a duplicate? Okay. And we also have, many written communications were in the council packet regarding this property. Thank you. We had many written communications that were part of the council packet, and we received many additional ones after that will be made part of the council packet regarding this property. And there was one, including one from the head of the Department of Economic Development and Planning, among many others the others were specifically requesting to stop the make safe or demolish. And our next speaker is Nicholas Zandy.
Thank you. Oh gosh, that was a little loud. I'm going to be speaking on items 4 through 7 on making safe or demolish on these show cause hearings. I'm just going to say about these properties when it comes to the red tag thing. Again, it's like a mess that you should have dealt with like years ago, and yet you haven't really done anything to really stop it, either by intervening to fix some of these properties or getting rid of these properties if there's no chance of fixing them. And I stand by the fact that we need to consider expanding our tags to include green and yellow tags for those who have relatively minor damages compared to those that have pink and red tags. I also want to state that extremely problematic landlords, as NYC Mayoral-elect Zohran Mamdani has said a few times on the campaign trail, that very problematic landlords need to be punished for some of their actions for sitting on their properties for many years. And I'm not going to be naming anyone in particular, at least hopefully not tonight, but I don't know if I'll ever name anyone in particular at all, but there have been many cases where some properties were in fact neglected, and in fact I think I was mentioned a bit on the news, like on the south side I think there were a few of those, and just seeing that kind of angers me. I don't want to use very extreme language, but doesn't sit right for me that people, like, I know there's some that just can't afford it, but a lot of the time it's that those like really nasty landlords, they just neglect their property and just don't care, even though they've got all the money in the world that they could to have it repaired. So if it's a landlord and their property is red tagged, and assuming this is like a new system where we actually do redefine how tags work, like adding a green and yellow, that if they are in the pink or red tag category, then landlords need to be at least questioned about it. Like if they're especially been neglecting it purposefully, and if it's like an individual homeowner, then yeah, they definitely need to be helped out, especially if their home is in the pink or red tag category, if we expand that definition. So I think we should consider expanding the definition of tagging by including green and yellow tags for minor damages so that we don't have so many homes lumped in the same category. And we also, if they are to the point where they are irreparable and it's a really bad landlord doing this, well, yeah, there needs to be some form of punishment. And I'm talking about really bad landlords, okay? That's all I'm going to say.
Thank you. We are to the referral of the public hearings, items 8 and 9.
Development and planning.
And we are to the consent agenda.
Vice President Carter.
Yes, I move the following consent agenda items as follow. We are pulling the city council meeting schedule for 2026 due to amendment and a date correction. We have a reappointment for Chelsea Dower as City of Lansing member of the Capital Area Transportation Authority Board for a term to expire on September 30th, 2028. Fireworks display license, Ace Pyro LLC for the City of Lansing Silver Bell Celebration, November 21st, 2025. A nonprofit recognition for the Capital City Wrestling Club. Donation acceptance for Meyer for the Great Bubble Barrier in the Grand River. Grant acceptance for Francis River Lot Improvements, Michigan Natural Resources Trust Fund, and a grant acceptance for Energy Efficiency and Conservation Block Grant, United States Department of Energy.
Okay, we have a proper motion in place. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously.
Okay, we are to the resolutions for action. We have item 10, the meeting schedule.
Vice President Carter.
So with the city council meeting schedule, we have one amendment, and that is for May 4th of next year, where we, at committee of a whole, made that correction, and so that will be a substitute, and that will be going forward effective on January 1st of 2026.
Okay, so we have a proper motion in place. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously.
Okay, we are to item 17, the Historic District Study Committee for 108 South Martin Luther King.
All right, I am going to pass the gavel to Vice President Carter.
Councilman Koss.
Okay, what we have before us here, first I'm going to move the resolution, and then speak with the city attorney's office. And we just heard folks in the audience that said that this would delay the make safe or demolish, that we couldn't pass it. Now, Greg, that's not accurate, correct?
That's correct, and I'm happy to speak to this if you want me to.
Yes,
so,
please.
There are two things. There's and I won't do a full, deep explanation of Act 169 of 1970. That's the Local Historic Districts Act for the state of Michigan, except to say that the act enables the local governmental unit, the city of Lansing, to pass an ordinance that establishes a process by which districts can be created. We have a commission, so that's already in existence. We don't get another commission, but then there are also study committees to look at new districts, and then it's our Chapter 1220 is our local ordinance that describes this whole process. Our process has to be it has to be consistent with what is in the state law. It is. The ordinary process is that either the council on its own action, which is what is being considered here, or local residents, or the Historic District Commission can come forward and say, we think this is an area that you should consider as a historic district. And then the next action is that the council, it says may hold a public hearing, but it's not required to hold a public hearing. And then the council has to pass a resolution setting up a committee. And then the mayor appoints members to the committee, and then the council approves the members of the committee, and then the committee looks at all the data and the evidence and figures out whether or not this is a thing or a group of things near each other that should be preserved as a historic district. The act, the state law, does have two sections which are not being implicated here in the resolution that's before the council. There's one section that says, if the council, upon receipt, and I'm looking at, this is section 14 of the act, the state law, so MCL 399.214, subsection 3 and subsection 4 is what I'm going to be talking about here. Subsection 3 says that if the council, upon receipt of substantial evidence, so somebody has to have given you a lot of pieces of paper describing the presence of historic, architectural, archaeological, engineering, or cultural significance of a proposed historic district, the legislative body, you all, may adopt a resolution requiring that all applications for permit within the proposed historic district be referred to the commission. That's not what this resolution does. That's a thing that exists, but that can't happen until the resolution that's before you all passes first, and that a committee exists. So the committee has to come into being. Subsection 4, which was also referenced, I think, by some public commenters, is the one that says that if the legislative body, you all, determines that any pending work will cause irreparable harm to resources located within an established historic district or a proposed historic district, then the legislative body may, by resolution, declare an emergency moratorium on all such work for a period not to exceed 6 months. That can then be extended by another 6 months if that threat to irreparable harm is still present. Again, that's not what's being contemplated here. This would be in fairly extreme circumstances, but again, you still have to have the study committee in existence. You all have to have passed the first resolution and then make the determination that either of those second two thresholds is met. And I'll just say, generally, these only come up when you have something. Typically, this comes up when your historic district commission has brought you a bunch of evidence saying, here's a thing that we think is going to be lost. We don't want to lose it. Please establish a committee. Also, please set these thresholds so that in a proposed historic district, all permits have to be reviewed by the commission, and no work be done for 6 months. And I don't think that's, at least from what was given to me in drafting the resolution, I don't think that's what's being proposed by anyone at this point. So I hope that answers a lot of questions. If you have more questions, please ask.
So it will not pause any work being done, and we can pass 18 with this. And this, if it does become a historical district, would preserve this property into, not beyond today, beyond 3 years from now, 10 years from now, but forever.
Ideally, yes. I mean, so long as the law stays the law and everybody follows the law, yes.
Okay.
Councilman Brown.
Thank you, Vice President Carter. So let's say someone's doing the work, as in this reality that we're in now, $80,000 work has been done. This type of district is in play, and then it's approved. It could potentially change the plans that were already in place of the renovation based on historic restrictions, correct?
Is that for me?
Yeah.
Well, two things. I will say most of the Historic District Commission's job, when let's say that a proposed district becomes an actual district, and then you have a protected property. Most of the Historic District Commission's review of permitting for work is focused on the exterior of the structure. So interior work is, there's a fair amount of latitude that's permitted for interior work. Walls can be moved, partitions can be made, the interior can be modernized quite considerably. It's the exterior of the structure that is usually being focused on for preservation. In this instance, I know that much of the interior of this structure has been damaged, so I don't think that there would be the same ability really of a Historic District Commission, let's say it becomes an actual historic district, to require that it be kept to some kind of historic standard, the way that you would in something more like the Cooley Hayes House, which does have fairly historic interior, or at least did for certain portions of it. I think that answers your question. I don't know if you have more.
Basically, it does restrict, if there was already, current plans in place, it does restrict maybe some of the changes.
No.
Or the potential proposed changes if someone's already been working on the property.
No, it would have, the committee would have to recommend that, the committee could look, let's just, all hypotheticals here. The study committee could look at the house over the course of 6 months and come back to this council and say, we don't think this should be a historic district. They could say, we think that it should. And then you all have to make the decision by putting it into an ordinance and saying this is a historic district. Any work that happens during that time, so long as you, the council, don't also pass a resolution saying all permits have to be reviewed and no work can be done. If you don't take those 2 steps, they can continue to do whatever work they are doing on the property.
So if, for example, we have item 18 as if it was rescinded, they could continue the work in 6 months. Historic district could be looked at just as it is today as a resolution.
Yes, if 18, so if item 18 passes and item 17 passes, all that happens is the structure is no longer going forward through demolition process per item 18, and then per item 17, then a study committee is formed to look at this building, which, I don't mind making the observation. The dots are there to be connected if someone did, that this is in fact a historic structure based on cultural purpose, or based on the cultural basis of the property. So it's not, I think people have spoken to that at public comment tonight. I looked at a child holding a book up describing why it's historic for cultural reasons. So, but I don't know, that's what the committee would look at. They would look at everything that's happened with the structure.
Well, I guess what I'm saying, City Attorney, is if the property was given the opportunity to be fully renovated by the rescinding of the make safe or demolish order, if that was happening, if that was approved tonight, excuse you, bless you, and the item 17 was not approved, the establishment of the Historic District Study Committee, can that be something that's revisited in 2 or 3 months to look at establishing a historic study committee?
Sure. Yes. Yes, if 17 fails, then the question can always be re-raised. But I just want to make it clear that if 17 passes, the status quo is not changed for many months unless and until a committee is actually created, and then the committee comes back and says, we think this should or should not be a historic district for these reasons. And then you all have to turn that into an ordinance for it to become a historic district.
Got you. So I guess I would motion to table item 17 for this period of time to look into it a little bit more.
So,
Point of order, Mr. City Attorney.
yeah,
I'm happy to support that motion to table. I just wonder if it's required, Mason's requires a second for a non-debatable motion to table. Does that apply here?
I need to check.
Thank you, everyone. We are reviewing the table motion as Dan, and we'll be back into discussion momentarily.
Did you not? No second is required.
All right, we're going to call for a vote on tabling item number 17, the Establishment of Historic District Study Committee at 108 South Martin Luther King Jr. Boulevard. Chris Swope. Do we need a roll call? Yes, please.
On the motion to table the resolution, Councilmember Jackson. Yes. Councilmember Cost.
No.
Councilmember Palavanoglu.
Yes.
Councilmember Spatafor.
Yes.
Councilmember Brown.
Yes.
Councilmember Carter.
Yes.
Councilmember Garza.
Question on this table? Or, I have a question regarding this. For clarification, I guess I'm just, for clarification, if this was to be tabled, and it fails to rescind the resolution for number 18, is there a way to go back to this?
There would need to be a motion to remove it from the table.
Okay. Okay, yes.
Councilmember Hussein. 6 yeas, 2 nays. The motion to table is adopted. So we are to item 18, rescind resolution 2025-107.
Councilmember Jackson.
Thank you. This is a resolution to rescind the make safe or demolish order. This was brought, I suppose by me, even though I didn't work too much on drafting it. However, there was a deadline approaching and I wanted it to come before the council. First, I'll just summarize the resolution and then move it and then talk about it? All right. So first of all, it basically reads that a code officer noticed and deemed that that property was unsafe. It went to a demolition board hearing where they determined that people need to make safe or demolish. The notice was sent for a show cause to the owner saying, show why we shouldn't demolish or how you can make safe. It came to City Council, and City Council ordered the make safe or demolish by 90 days. After that, a new plan was developed by the owner to bring the property up to snuff, and that property has historical value. That's one of the paragraphs in there. There was good cause shown to set aside the order, and I can talk about that after I move it. And the final, be it resolved that we will rescind the make safe or demolish. That's a summary, and I will move that.
Okay, it's a proper motion. And then we have further discussion. I've got Councilman Garza, followed by Councilman Hussein.
Okay. Thank you, Council President. Appreciate this. So this, any make safe or demolish is super, super difficult. I mean, obviously, this is someone's home, potential someone's legacy. Obviously, you have a lot of people out here that respect Mrs. Flowers. My concern is I've talked to building safety. I'm not part of the public safety committee, and I hear $80,000. That is a lot of money. It's a lot of money. I was told by building safety that no inspections were called as of yet. So my concern is, and this is for the city attorney, is if we were to rescind this, what's that put us in for a legal framework for other properties that we haven't rescinded that came through the same process as this. I just don't want to put ourselves into a situation where we're being sued by multiple property owners because of we approved to demolish properties and didn't do this one.
Sure. So you all hear from me in my office, I'd say fairly regularly, that everything is a specific decision and that each of these is a fact-specific determination. What happens with each one is not necessarily the same as what happens with the others. And then at the same time, we say, but you got to do them the same way and you got to treat like for like. And so I think that sort of plays at the heart of your question. What I will say is, you are the legislative body, you're the ones empowered by statute, state law, to make the determination on this question. And if we're following the process correctly, you're following the process correctly, and you're looking at the same things each time. For example, you can't look at things that are characterized under state, local, or federal law as protected classes, right? You can't look at the sex of the person whose house is being turned down. And I won't go through all of those and bore you with that. But as long as you're focusing on the actual substance of the matter before you, it's a determination that the council makes. And you have broad latitude in making that determination. I think a distinguishing characteristic of this one, at least as I understand it, and I have not, my office drafted the resolution, but I have not necessarily checked, I don't check the financials, I don't review whether a bank is real or not real in this instance. But my understanding is, and I think that's part of what's in the resolution, is that there is a distinction with this set of circumstances that is different from others, where a lot of times people come forward and say, please don't tear it down, I just need a little bit more time. Please don't tear it down, I just need a little bit more time. But there's no demonstration that a little bit more time will do anything. I think the distinction, at least as I understand it, is that here, time is needed, but also money is available. Substantial amounts of money is available, and a budget has been created, and work has been happening in this direction. And so, I don't know, there is enough of a change in circumstance, a specific change in the facts, that would allow the council to say, okay, we think that good cause has been shown as to why this property should not be torn down. And that's really the question. So if tomorrow somebody who is upset that their house was put through Make Safe or Demolish comes forward and says, what about me? The question that you would have to ask is, what's different from the last? Nothing has really changed, because at that point, good cause is not shown. It's just the same still. The way that this was brought forward, and again, the way that I understand it, and I'm not vouching for anyone, is that there are new facts and a change in circumstance that would justify this change in posture as to this property, but not open us up to the same thing from every other person who's ever been before you on the same question.
I have one follow-up then. So after speaking with building safety, and they mentioned that no inspections have been called as of yet, is there a reason why there has not been any inspections called? I mean, $80,000 seems like to be quite a bit of money without having inspections.
I can't speak to that.
No, I mean, this is for the committee, and the people that serve on the committee.
I don't serve, but usually the inspections, first, I imagine that they can't inspect with the status quo. And two, a lot of the inspections happen after it's complete. Now, there's permits pooled, which once that work gets done, they do an inspection on the permit. But my understanding is that overall, it's cured and then an inspection comes unless there was a permit, and then they inspect that. But I would imagine that they can't inspect anything because our department knows that this is on this status and is kind of holding ground. Well, really, the next thing is to contract a demolition company not to inspect it, because that's what they're on hold for. Are we getting this demolition company or not? They're not looking to do the steps to make sure everything's correct. Ms. Flowers and her people are doing that, but I don't think the city's on that page yet.
Okay, so I mean, I guess as another follow-up to that, I mean, we've heard from other make safer demolishes that, you know, we do have permits pulled, the inspections scheduled, and when I talked to building safety, they said that there has been 0 inspections. So that's where I'm trying to find a good place to be at, but I also want to be the same across the board, like the city attorney said, when it comes to voting.
Okay. So I'm sorry, did you have? Okay. Councilmember Hussein? And then I've got SPAD 4.
If yours was germane to that, though, I would encourage you to go first.
Councilmember Phillips.
Thank you. I think it's all sort of relative. So I'll go back with my best understanding of what's happened here, right? This property was in the Make Safer Demolish process. We've all heard the timeline. It was voted through, yet the property owner continued to advocate for more time. Now, during the 4 summer odd years that the property owner was within this process from the time of purchase, and I believe that this property was red tagged in 2017, from the best of my memory, and it was purchased in 2019 in order to rehab and bring back up. And we've heard, several comments about why there was a delay personally on the property owner's end. And I can't speak today about why inspections had not been scheduled, for a substantial amount of time. What I can say is that having spoken with the property owner and understanding that while coming toward the end of the Make Safer Demolish process, not having certainty of where this road was leading, there was a pause and hesitancy to put more money toward this project for a moment in terms of, what more work could personally be sunk into this by the property owner, who at the same time had applied for grants and applied for a few other streams of revenue to help get this across the finish line. So I just offer that for a bit of context. And I understand, we're talking about some years here, but I do think that once it passed a certain threshold and that uncertainty of not knowing if the structure would ultimately be demolished and should, the desire to put more personal dollars in. But I do understand that the property owner has pulled permits, even in the midst of this uncertainty, in order to, I don't know, I can't read minds, but essentially make a statement that work would continue if allowed to continue. So that's what I'd like to offer for that. But I would also just like to say that, over the last several months, I certainly have had conversations and asked questions about different avenues to pursue. Is there anything that could be done? And I understand that, directly after an order has been voted through, there is that 20-day latitude for a property owner to file an appeal, but that doesn't preclude a property owner also from advocating to City Council in order to take an action such as this. So those are 2 avenues that could have been pursued, and one was pursued over the other. I will also say that I did ask the city attorney, because I understand that most decisions we make up here at this dais involve a certain amount of risk. So my question to the city attorney's office in understanding more of this was, is this something that, if significant to this property, does that open the floodgates of risk? Does that open the floodgates of multiple lawsuits? And so I was, given the response such as City Attorney Venker gave a few moments ago, that the resolution that was drafted speaks to a change of circumstances that speak directly to this property. So while there is always going to be a small element of risk in the decisions we make up here every week, I do think that if the floodgates of risk were to open that substantially, the advice I would expect to receive from a city attorney would be, don't do that. That's not what I had heard here, that's not what I had taken in, and that's not even what I heard up here on this dais this evening. So I'd just like to offer that for a bit more context. Thank you.
Councilman Hussein, followed by Councilman Jackson.
Yeah, so I first wanted to explain why I voted not to table number 17, since we didn't have an opportunity to discuss. When I was looking at that, I didn't bring that resolution, wasn't a part of that conversation, but I don't believe it was brought out of malice. I think it was almost viewed as kind of a companion piece to number 18, because I think what we needed to be able to do as a council was distinguish this as somehow unique, right? So that we're not essentially being charged with unfair treatment, equal or unequal application of our processes, laws, et cetera. We certainly don't want to expose the city to any measure of substantial litigation in the future. So that was why I supported not tabling it. Particularly, I think it was intentional the way it was written, so that work wouldn't cease during the period of time where the committee was actually populated, and then they had that 180 days essentially to come forth with report and recommendations. What I'm hearing, however, is that this is a unique case. The city attorney believes they can make that case should there be any measure of litigation in the future, particularly from past property owners that have actually had structures demolished as part of the Make Safer Demolish program. And maybe we're able to, as an example, our committee process, bring forth some measure of, whether it be capital resources or timelines, et cetera. So because we have the cover that we have from the city attorney, I'm comfortable moving forward, but wanted folks to understand in supporting number 17 or wanting the opportunity to support number 17, I was hoping that we could, again, distinguish this as somehow unique in terms of Make Safer Demolishes and, again, protect the city into the future. Thank you.
Thank you. And I want to be very clear, because my name is on that document, that was not created out of malice. That was the aim. That was the conversation that I had with Greg for 2 weeks, was how do we distinguish this as different from every other Make Safer Demolish? That's the conversation that I had with preservationists all around the city. In fact, I'm probably the biggest preservationist on this body. I was the only one that wanted to save Eastern, if you all recall that.
You can't say that, but we hear what you're saying.
Thanks. So I believe in historic preservation in this city. And I certainly want to see this Darius Moon House preserved for generations to come. And that's why I put this piece forward. But it sounds like now what I'm hearing is the city attorney is saying that this is a piece that stands alone by itself as a special circumstance, which won't cause 307 or Metro Bowl or any of the other ones that we've sent through Make Safer Demolish to come back to city council and have something to stand on. So with that, I am satisfied with the explanation. And then I have Councilman Jackson.
Thank you. Just to bolster the record so that we have the reasons why, I'll just say some of the things that make this situation unique. First, the house was red tagged for 2 years prior to even owning it. I think that's significant in itself because it just shows that the red tag or the original problem wasn't necessarily at all from the home owner, and that it was already inhabitable based on our city standards. Two, I think the date of the purchase being September of 2019 is significant because that is right before the pandemic. As you all know, that shut down pretty much everything for definitely over a year. It made people forget they had meetings, all types of things was going on during the pandemic. Also, I would say that the pandemic also caused contractor shortages, which has been spoken about on the record previously. I think that's important because for some of that time, it wasn't that the homeowner or the owner was dragging their feet, but that there was not, unless she's gonna climb the beams and put in the stairs with her team, I don't think she could even do that because it requires a professional builder, permits, etc. So with the inability to even do those things for some time, I think that is a specifically unique circumstance in itself. Also, I would add that the homeowner had serious health complications during this time. That's unique in itself because that person was somewhat incapacitated, but still was able to come out of it, and while they were down sick, was able to develop a plan and keep working on this. I mean, I can't even imagine having to go through such a serious illness and still have to worry about something other than health, family, love, and food for the most part. So that's unique. Also, it's unique that there was an engineer that came in and worked on the structural foundation and did the beams. You all know that first thing is important is putting a roof over, which happened here at the homeowner's expense to prevent further deterioration. And then after the roof's up, you have to fix the support. So the beams were fixed, windows were installed, doors were installed. These are all factually specific and unique circumstances that we can hang our hat on. Moreover, permits were pulled. I think that there are some make safe or demolish people out there who did not do these things, who did not pull any permits, who did not put a roof on, who did not invest $80,000 of their own money, probably don't even have $80,000 to put into it. And so I just wanted to put on the record so that it can be part of it that could help prevent us from liability when someone sees that it's fact-specific circumstances, and then they look and say, nope, I didn't have these things, nope, I didn't do that, or maybe they did. And I would say, for a public policy point of view, we would want people to invest in their property, fix it up, and make it habitable, so one, we don't lose that little piece of housing stock because we're in a housing shortage, and we want our citizens to invest in the city. We sat here for 2 Oprah presentations where it was 2 buildings, and I was kind of paying attention to this specifically for this reason. 2 buildings that were deteriorated, not usable, sounds like the fire damaged building. I'll also add that this was a fire damaged building, which in itself is like an act of God, if you will, not something that just sat over time from a lazy person, but something that happened that even made it worse. But still, the homeowner took it on. So this homeowner is not asking for a city abatement or an Oprah to do the work. This is just a person investing their money, which is what we should want. So I think that, like the city attorney said, we have to point to fact-specific circumstances. And I think with the timing, the COVID pandemic, the shortage, the health, the work that was done, the permits that was pulled, and not to forget the overwhelming support of people that came in, there's no other make safe or demolish in my 8 years that has had nearly 1/10 of the support that's been here. This isn't the first day. This isn't the second day. This is probably the 3rd time that you came to the main council, and how many times did you come to the committees? How many letters were in support? How many emails did we get? I think that it creates a record that is impeccable and ripe for passing this resolution to rescind the make safe or demolish. Thank you.
I've got Councilman Spatafor.
Thank you, Mr. President. And it's hard to follow the councilor's closing arguments, but I wanted to add a little bit more context to the record as well. The building safety office did complete an inspection under an open building permit on July 9th. They did not pass the work, but it was partially completed, and the director argues that it was possible they could have completed it with more time, but they are as a risk of, there's an assumption of risk making repairs once an MSD order has come through. On October 15th, the property owner had licensed subcontractors pull 2 new permits, mechanical and plumbing. October 31st, the building safety manager completed a building inspection with several notes and pictures that was all sent to the city council Friday afternoon. As a result of that inspection, the property owner has submitted new architectural plan review drawings to the Office of Building Safety, and we've replied to them with revisions that are needed. And the director believes that once the drawings are completed and approved, they will reflect and document accordingly the findings from October 31st inspection, and the above items from the inspection can be remedied with a bit more time. On October 28th, the property owner emailed a grant award letter from the Distribution Hub announcing a $500,000 grant coming to the recipient, to the property owner to renovate the property, and we estimate this exceeds the amount of funding needed to make safe. I will say that we look at a lot of these make safer demolishes orders in front of us. We had 4 of them up before us. And the operative part of the ordinance, I believe, is making safe. And I think that's what this homeowner is attempting to do, is making this property safe to live in. Demolish should be the last resort. And I think the folks up here, folks in the audience, Ms. Flowers, the family that has come to support her have demonstrated that the goal is to make this property safe. And I think we, as the decision-making body on that, have the opportunity in front of us to operationalize the important part of the Make Safe or Demolish ordinance and allow this homeowner more time to make safe. Now, there's still a red tag monitoring fee. You still have to comply with the city's monitoring. You still have to make progress toward making this property safe, and I think you're very well aware of that. I can tell from the head nods and the smile. So this is not over, but I do think I heard Councilmember Garza's very real concerns about legal jeopardy this may present. I hope this is sort of precedent setting. I hope that we do see some folks that when they get to this point, or before they get to this point, but work very hard to save the properties in this community. Whilst I wasn't the one standing on piles of bricks advocating for Eastern High School, I do think it's important that we have a community that embraces some of our history, and we have an opportunity to do that. And I also think if it's important to the homeowner that we establish this home as a historic district, we do so in the future with their input and guidance. So I think I've said enough. I'm looking forward to voting yes on this.
Councilmember Hussein.
Yeah, just very quickly, I actually had my hand up prior to Councilman Jackson's last comment, so I want to underscore the importance of what he said toward the tail end of his comments in terms of public input. We as a legislative body, we're required, right, to listen to the public, and I think, by social contract, to heed the advice of the public. And most times when we talk about Make Safer Demolishes, the public has, for a very long time, actually asked for some type of abatement at that property, right? Whatever subject property we're talking about. And the reason is that so often these properties have been blighted for a long time. They chip away at the livability of a community. They impact adjacent property values, et cetera. And so when we move forward on those Make Safer Demolishes, we're not just making sure that everything comports with statutory framework, et cetera, but we're also making sure that we're doing the will of the public. And what we're hearing from the public today is that, and so I appreciate the fact that folks have coalesced around this in support of Ms. Flowers, and have basically said, look, we are okay because of the historic value, because of the unique circumstances that Ms. Flowers has endured these past several years. We are okay with, and furthermore, we actually want you to give her more time. And so for that reason, I will absolutely support number 18. Thank you.
Okay. If we have no further comments, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Oppose? Passes unanimously.
Okay, we are to item 19, setting a public hearing on the Parks and Recreation Master Plan.
Vice President Carter.
Yes, we had Director Brent and Mike from Spicer Group come in at Committee of a Whole to discuss the 5-year plan, master plan for Parks and Recreation. It was discussed the 6 different steps of the efforts of this master plan, including the citywide master plan, the non-motorized transportation plan, the AARP age-friendly community plan, Middle Grand Water Trail Development Plan, Red Cedar Water Trails planning efforts, and Tri-County Regional Trails Feasibility Plan. It was also shared that there was various citizens' input and whether it was online surveys or the 4 open house meetings that were attended throughout the wards. Much discussion was shared at those meetings regarding connectability, maintenance, green spaces, placemaking, with the overall 5 goal sets of connection, accessibility, resiliency, diversified, and placemaking. And almost 70% have frequently visited our parks and 40% of our river trails. And so with that, there was the ordinance or the resolution that came forward that states the state of Michigan grants through the Department of Natural Resources for parks and rec projects for an updated 5-year master plan and capital improvement project scheduled must be in play for the Department of Natural Resources by February 1st of 2026, with the current plan expiring on December 31st of this year. And so with that, the Park Board had reviewed the Parks and Recreation draft master plan and have approved the Parks and Recreation draft master plan. And with that, it is setting a public hearing for December 15th for the Parks and Recreation master plan of 2026 through 2030.
Okay, proper motion in place. Is there any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously.
Okay, we are to ordinances for introduction. We have an, let me get the right one first. Sorry, I just had it on my screen and it disappeared. I need the full title. All right, we have an, what is going on with my computer? All right, Councilmember Cost introduced an ordinance of the City of Lansing to amend Chapter 294 of the Lansing Codified Ordinances, Section 292.02K, to encourage the retention of the top official of the fire department and police department by extending eligibility for retirement service credits for those officials up to 30 years and to correct internal cross-references without any substantive revisions. The ordinance is read a first time by its title and referred to the Committee of the Whole.
Vice President Carter.
Thank you, President Cost. As Clerk Swope had mentioned, this is the amending of Chapter 294 to encourage the retention of the top official of fire and police departments. And also, essentially, this is moving the retirement from 25 to, but not more than 30 years, except that the retirement allowance shall not exceed 110% of the member's base wage. So with that, I move the public hearing, or yes, to be set for November 17th, our next week meeting.
Okay, proper motion in place. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously.
Okay. .55, 654.07, 654.08, 654.13, and 654.14 to establish the City of Lansing's regulations regarding noise applies to all properties within the city with limited exceptions, and to amend how such noise in the city is evaluated by removing references to decibel levels and instead adopting a plainly audible standard at various distances depending on the time of day. The ordinance is read a first time by its title and referred to the Committee on Public Safety.
Councilmember Pelivonoglu.
Thank you, President Cost, and thank you, Clerk Swope. I think you've covered a majority of what we're discussing here. But yes, this introduction amends several sections, as you've just listed, of Chapter 654 in the Lansing Codified Ordinances. It does remove references to decibel levels and adopts plainly audible standards and distances for evaluation. And it actually adds a definition of what plainly audible means, and you would find that on page 4 of the draft here. It also differentiates industrial noise on an industrial site versus common everyday nuisance noise that most residents experience. It does include a section regarding motor vehicle horns, exhaust equipment that artificially create a loud or explosive noise. And it adds language regarding holding the owner of a motor vehicle accountable when such noises are discharged. And it is, perhaps there's a license plate or something that's been given as evidence of that vehicle producing that noise. It also addresses multi-unit residential dwellings with timeframes of 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. With loud and disruptive noises in excess of 15 minutes. And I will say that the multi-unit residential dwelling was not specifically addressed in the previous noise ordinance. So with that, I would move to set the public hearing for Monday, November 17th at 7 p.m.
We have a proper motion. Is there any further discussion? Councilmember Jackson.
Just quickly, I don't know if I'll be a part of this or not, but just want to caution people on passing new ordinances that would basically involve the police for, I would say, what is a relatively harmless, but for some people, activity. It's, do you all think that the police, Lansing Police, but I would really assert any police department, is going to enforce this ordinance equally when we know that historically and otherwise that police contact with young black and brown people are generally higher? So this ordinance will now take what could be people playing music loud or somebody who has a hole in their muffler to have police contact. Now, some people will say that's good because they are tired of their neighbors and people being loud with their cars and music or otherwise. But other people would say that it is an overstep and puts more people in harm's way. And I would tend to fall on that side of putting more people in harm's way because of the discretion that the police will be able to use when they go down the street and they roll their window down and they listen for noises, or they follow someone long enough to hear noises, or someone's car is raggedy and there's noises. I don't know of cars that intentionally, and I could be wrong, I'm not a hot rod guy, but that intentionally make it so that it's loud. I know some cars are built where they got a supercharge or something and it sounds like sometimes gunshots, or a backfire sounds like that, or a hole in the muffler. But again, I just want to caution my colleagues that this will cause more police interactions with people who would otherwise not be involved with the police. Thank you.
Do we have any further comment? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Oppose? Passes unanimously.
Okay, we are to speaker registration for public comment on city government-related matters. If you are here and wish to address city council, please fill out a yellow form in the back if you have not already. And with that, we are to referral items.
Vice President Carter.
Yes, I will motion that all items be considered being read in full and that the proper referrals be made by President Cost.
Okay, we have a proper motion in place. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously.
We have from the city clerk minutes of boards and commissions.
Place on file.
Land sale agreement, 229 South Cedar Street.
Community of the whole. Committee of the whole, sorry.
General fund status report for the first quarter.
Committee of the whole.
Employment vacancy report for the same first quarter.
It sounds like everybody's having trouble tonight. Committee of the whole.
Public safety project quarterly update.
Public safety.
From the mayor, 2 items on a payment in lieu of taxes for Pine Brook Manor, 5911 South Waverly Road.
Development and planning.
Supporting food rescue organizations.
Committee of the whole.
We have 3 grant acceptances. Michigan Department of Health and Human Services Training Officer Program.
Ways and Means.
Michigan State Police Burn Justice Grant.
It'd be Ways and Means.
Michigan Department of Human Services Domestic Violence Care Grant.
Ways and Means.
We have a sole source purchase, Parks and Recreation, notification of Nature Playscapes as the vendor for Outdoor Fitness Center, Sycamore Creek Park.
Ways and Means.
And items from President Cost, 2 items on ordinance for tenant relocation fee exception for tenant-caused damage.
Committee of the Whole.
And 2 items on an ordinance for the public shopping district, amend the boundaries.
Committee of the Whole.
Communications and petitions, we have a communication from Steve Harry regarding the Charter Commission.
Place on file.
And communications from multiple individuals in support of the rescinding resolution on the Make Safer Demolish for 108 South Martin Luther King.
Place on file.
We are to remarks by council members.
Any further remarks? Vice President Carter.
Yes, I just want to briefly welcome Luke Mingaman, who is our new legislative analysis, who started today. And then also with our open internal auditor position, in lieu of the charter passing, the internal auditor position will become independent effective January 1st of 2026. So any hiring done by council before then would discontinue on December 31st. So just wanted to put that on record for the public, pending that we had 2 originally open positions, and so 1 has been fulfilled. So if you see Luke in the halls, please welcome him.
Thank you. Do we have any further comments? I don't see any.
Remarks by the mayor?
Mr. Mayor? All right.
All right, then we are to public comment on city government-related matters. We have Loretta Stanaway, followed by Ivan Drosty.
I wanted to address today something you may have seen in the Lansing State Journal, which concerns the proposed Consumers Energy easement that would run from Aurelius Road to 127 in front of Fenner Nature Center and in front of Evergreen Cemetery. Myself and others have attended a couple of different development and planning committee meetings about this thus far, and our concerns, at least for Evergreen anyway, aren't so much the particulars right now. Right now, it looks like Evergreen won't be negatively impacted in any way that we're aware of. But what we are concerned about is in the future. We have no way to know in 5, 10 years, 15, 20 years, who will be in the seats at Consumers, who will be in the seats at the city council or the mayor's office, and what they might consent to in the future when Consumers says, well, technology has changed or our needs have changed, and now we want to do something different. So we have proposed that there be a stipulation added to the agreement that says essentially that no further alterations to the landscape can be made above ground or below ground without first going through the same approval process that it's now going through. In other words, planning, development and planning, city council, mayor's office. This would ensure that the citizens and the city are protected in the future, because otherwise, as it stands right now, Consumers can do anything in perpetuity if this easement language is not altered. So we want to have that assurance that there can be some oversight still. We're not restricting Consumers from taking care of any emergency needs that might come up. And some specific concerns along the way between Fenner and ourselves. There are trees in Fenner that would be removed. They would not be replaced in Fenner. They would be replaced throughout the city in rights-of-way or parks or whatever. There needs to be better compensation for the trees. There needs to be an assurance and a specific answer to the question, which we've not received yet from Consumers. Will they remove the overgrowth that's in front of Fenner right now, which serves as an access barrier, a visual barrier, and a sound barrier, and as lively wildlife habitat? Will they remove the fence that's in there? Or if those are removed, will they be replaced? And if they're replaced, will they leave that growth alone, or will they come back every 5 years and mow it back down? So we have some specific questions that we want answers to, but the most important thing is to get a stipulation into that easement that gives the city and the citizens some control or oversight over what happens in the future when technology changes, when their needs change, when whatever happens comes down the pike in 15 or 20 or 50 years. So we'd appreciate your support on that and your understanding and your awareness. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Ivan Drosty, followed by Carver.
Ivan Drusty, Ward 3. I want to talk about the encampment near Dietrich Park today. As you all know, after the mayor and the city attorney filed their lawsuit against the landowner, the judge in that case ordered that the city needed to provide some amenities to the residents. It seems like some progress has been made, but I think the perception is that the city is dragging their feet on this, especially when it comes to finding temporary housing for these folks. I think the fear and the concern for everybody involved is that we're going to come across some deadline sooner or later where this camp is going to need to be cleared before we find suitable housing for everyone who's living there right now. And that would be a real disaster if that would happen. I mean, that would be a life or death situation. So I urge the office of the mayor and the city council to do everything that they could possibly do to avoid that scenario and to help find these people some place to live. In the meantime, while we do that, it's winter now, I'm sure you've noticed. It's really cold. And I'm glad that the city has warming centers, but one thing that would really help is if the folks who live in camps like this could keep themselves warm overnight right at the camp. And I know that they've been told, especially at Dietrich, that they're not allowed to have open flames. Really, that doesn't seem realistic to me. I think that this is basically a way of kind of criminalizing homelessness. If I am freezing to death in a homeless encampment and I have to choose between breaking the law or dying, I'm probably going to break the law. So if there's any possible way that we can be lenient, at least in regards to having open flames or anything else kind of similar to that that could help people keep warm, I think that that's something that we could pursue. I'd like to kind of use the rest of my time just to kind of ponder as to how we got here, right? I've been getting more politically active recently. I've been going to lots of meetings. I go to every city council meeting. I go to neighborhood association meetings, constituent contact meetings. I've been really shocked at just how little space there has been given to the most vulnerable residents of our city. We talk a lot about roads. I've got opinions about roads. Adam got to hear some of those on Saturday. But I feel like the priorities are really out of whack. I mean, we've got dozens and dozens, maybe hundreds of people really, really struggling. And now as we're getting to winter, even more. And I feel like we just don't have the political will to help these people. And I just wonder how we got to that point. We've got a lot of political will for building new city council or new city hall and entertainment venues and AI data centers. And we got a lot of money to spend on cops who harass the homeless. But we don't seem to have any money or political will to help the homeless. And I just wonder why.
Thank you. Next is Carver, followed by Kyle Richard.
Hi there. I'm going to start with how Shore mentioned the blue alert. People need to be inside to be warm, but they have been forbidden from doing anything that they will need to do to survive. They can't build new structures. They cannot build fires. Water and sanitation and housing orders have also gone unfulfilled. It is a well-known fact that Andy Shore hates the poor. But with recent policy decisions, it has become clear that Andy Shore kills the poor. During the debate with Kelsey Hector, when asked about the shut-off of SNAP, Kelsey laid out actual plans to organize communities to ensure citizens don't starve, whereas Shore's solution was effing bridge loans that will only drive poor families further into debt if those families even qualify for those loans to begin with. On top of that, it is a direct result of Shore's actions that Cowboy and Rob are fucking dead. Shore pressured the owners of ABC and J&J to bulldoze the Dietrich encampment. Rob was a cancer patient who died because his dwelling was demolished before we got all of his life-saving medical equipment out. Andy Shore deserves to be charged with murder, manslaughter, or at the very least, negligent homicide. Every police officer who threatened those of us who tried to defend Rob's hut, as well as the men driving the demolition equipment, all deserve to be charged as accessories to Rob's murder. Matt Staples constantly lies under oath and deserves similar charges. It is easily confirmed that residents have not been given housing that Aquilina ordered for them. And therefore, how could the current residents be new, as Staples said last week? Your unhoused neighbors are your neighbors. We are your constituents. We, yes, we, including me, vote. Kelsey, despite the difficulties of their campaign, still got over a third of the Lansing vote because everyone hates Andy Shore. And if more people understood there was an alternative, Shore would not be mayor right now. I still have a whole 30 seconds. Well, holy shit. As long as I have this time, I would like to say Shore's wife looks like his sister, and you always have this expression on your face that suggests no woman has ever sat upon it, and I do not respect you.
Okay.
Next, we have Kyle Richard, followed by Sarah.
Good evening, everyone. Kyle Richard, 4th Ward. I don't know, coming down here, I'm kind of like, what are we talking about? Like, we're still talking about Dietrich Camp? Like, y'all could have been a cooperative partner from the jump, right? All they asked for was a dumpster. Can we take our trash out, please? How much money have we spent fighting this? We could have spent that money housing people. We talk about the Mod Pods, but we're already setting parameters for how to exclude people from the Mod Pods. What are we talking about here? Thinking about the election results, I'll remind this body and the public something I've shared at this body before, which is that in odd-numbered year elections, off elections, not the president, not the midterms, the demographics of the election lean older and lean whiter, which in this country and in this state lean conservative. Mayor Andy Shore does not represent the city I know and love. I do not believe Mayor Andy Shore values my life. I know he does not value the lives of the people at Dietrich Park. And to give an example, since I've got plenty of time left, there was a time I remember where it was actually Councilmember Jackson asked Mayor Shore, it was budget time, and he said, Mayor Shore, where is the money for the climate office? Where's the money for the climate office? And Mayor Shore says, I couldn't find it. I couldn't find it. Like his job is to pick berries. You couldn't find it? As mayor of this city, Mayor Shore sets priorities. Mayor Shore did not prioritize the climate office. Mayor Shore does not prioritize the lives of the people at Dietrich Park. Mayor Shore prioritizes big buildings and cutting ribbons. It's really disappointing to watch another election go by where money wins in this city. But I'm really inspired by the work that people do in this community. I'm really inspired by the people at Dietrich Camp who have endured through all of this. And I do still, despite all of this, look forward to what the future of this city holds. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Sarah, followed by Mike Gorishak.
I too am here to speak on the Dietrich encampment. I've been to nearly every single hearing since the first one occurred, and I've been both equally proud of the folks at the camp who've shown up to advocate for themselves, to be in that courtroom, to correct untrue narratives that were being shared by either the city or property owners, and like the resiliency to fight in an arena where there's like very little hope that you're seen as either a human being or someone that like deserves some basic necessities. Some of those folks are here with us at camp today, some couldn't be. There's about 40 people, probably a little bit more, that have signed up to receive like real substantial housing more than like a voucher like for a hotel for 90 days, which is basically like a abandon your camp so we can bulldoze it, and then it's gone, and now you're screwed when those 90 days are up. People need and want real housing, and I've been really disappointed to see the city's representation in court continually pulling attention away from that need and that commitment that was given as an order by a judge who sees the people at the camp as human beings who don't deserve to have their belongings bulldozed into a dumpster. About a third of the camp was already bulldozed, and we did lose someone as a result directly because of the stress on someone who had stage 4 cancer. And he really didn't deserve that at all, to be treated the way that he did. And in this most recent hearing, we saw the city continue to push that narrative further away from how do we step up and create these resources so that people can have long-term housing and get out of the literal snow right now. Like, it's a code blue. It's like dangerously cold out. And instead, the city was trying to create fear for the judge and all in the courtroom that people are building long-term structures, that people are doing X, Y, Z and the other, and trying to push for a fixed move-out date. And why haven't people moved out already? Only one person has been offered a voucher. There's so many people that are waiting, and the city's representation has decided to prioritize focusing on a small minority of people who don't want housing, and it's truly that like they don't trust the resources that still haven't even been offered. So everybody sitting here who represents the city really needs to step it up. There's only so much that a judge can do. There's only so much that residents of this camp who have no legal representation in court can do. There's only so much that we as a community, as a tenant union, as a homeless union can do. It's time for y'all to put your back into it and make these resources show up, exist, and give it to those 40 people that are waiting.
Thank you. Next, we have Mike Gorshak, followed by Nicholas Zandy.
Hi, good evening. My name is Mike Gorshak, and I'm here to speak for our unhoused neighbors staying near Dietrich Park. More residents of the camp wanted to be here, but they needed to stay at the camp to prepare to try and keep warm tonight. Several months ago, the Honorable Judge Aquilina toured the Dietrich Camp Park herself and made it clear that the city and the property owners needed to take a portion of responsibility for the camp and to treat the camps appropriately. She ordered porta potties, trash pickup, and the removal of unsafe materials. The residents are grateful that the city has acted with care to provide these items, but everyone agrees that these are good steps. But unfortunately, Judge Aquilina has also banned open flames and propane tanks, and this has left residents with minimal options to stay warm. As the mayor said, winter is here. And for folks living outside, that's just not uncomfortable. That's life-threatening. The Lansing community have raised funds and provided the camp with carbon monoxide detectors, tarps, and other items to help insulate their tents and structures. But the camp residents are already feeling the effects of not having a heat source. Heat source, like kerosene heaters, electric heaters hooked up through generators, or even city power. One or all of these solutions can be implemented with safety checks from the fire department. We can do this safely. With the right equipment, training, and regular check-ins, we can keep people from cold weather injury without creating new fire hazards. The alternative, with no heat sources, isn't realistic. People will try to keep warm one way or another. I want to make sure I'm clear. This is when the most serious danger happens, when people with scarce resources are forced to improvise. No one wants a tragedy, like deaths due to carbon monoxide or fire. So let's do the humane and practical thing, while the city does their positive work towards finding long-term housing solutions for the residents. Please, Mayor and City Attorney Venker, let's work together to make a plan with heat sources supervised by the city and fire department Let's give people a fighting chance to make it through winter. Things are it's so incredibly cold right now. So please, thank you.
Thank you. Next is Nicholas Zandy, followed by Alicia Flowers.
Thank you. So, I am Nicholas Zandy, resident of the 2nd Ward and president of the Old Everett Neighborhood Association. Now, yes, I am aware that the proposal to change the charter of the new charter has unfortunately passed, even though it really shouldn't have. And however, that doesn't mean that it cannot be altered in any way, because state law supersedes city law. That's just how it works in the state of Michigan, in any state for that matter. And saying that, I am looking to work with other community leaders and maybe others in my community to consider a ballot proposal to actually substantially increase the number of wards, because just a 5th ward I don't think is good enough. We need to go for, I would say, probably 9 wards. Just get rid of the at-large, 9 wards. Well, I think 9 council members is good to avoid ties. Increasing the number of wards to 9 actually would be better to create much more adequate representation to marginalized as well as impoverished communities, because at-large has kept a lot of those people out. And considering that the at-large seats were created around the 50s last I checked, that timeline just does not sound very innocent for something like that, because that to me sounds like there might have been some class or Jim Crow was a thing. I don't want to cry wolf on this, but considering the timeline, yeah, I don't see any point in defending at-large at this point, and I think that increasing the number of wards to 9 would probably be the best way of doing it, and getting rid of the at-large, again, would increase representation to those communities. It wouldn't create divisiveness. Again, it would create representation from people who just otherwise wouldn't be represented, and it would prevent the chamber and other corporate PACs from increasing their representation on the council, and would force them to have to be like, okay, we need to actually understand their community needs that are unique to them, and that maybe this area is not favorable to us, and will likely lead to some rando probably getting elected to the council who's like, this is what I want to bring, and this is what I want to see changed. And that's all I'm going to say, and I'll yield the last 5 seconds of my time.
Thank you. Next is Alicia Flowers, followed by Kadaja Erickson.
First, I would like to say thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I won't let you down. But I have to speak to something that I saw during this process. Not out of frustration, but out of respect for accountability and how we treat one another. During the October 14th, first I'd like to read the definition of harebrained. Foolish, reckless, or wildly impractical, lacking good judgment or common sense. During the October 14th public safety meeting, while the topic of 108-110 was being discussed, Councilmember Husan referred to another member's idea as harebrained. And I quote, "So I'm shocked to hear that there might be a little bit of pausing or pumping on the brakes because some council member has some harebrained idea and they're going to pass or bring forth a resolution." While debate can and should be passionate, remarks like that move beyond disagreement. They become verbal bullying. Verbal bullying uses words as weapons to ridicule, embarrass, or control. and it has no place in leadership or public safe service. When that happens, it does more than offend, it erodes from within. How can the council effectively serve the public when trust among its own members is weakened by ridicule or disrespect? I have more, but I'm not going to read it. But what I'm going to say is, y'all need to gird up together and become one unit, because you got a whole lot going on past these gates. And you cannot serve them the way you need to when you're imploding from within. That's all I got. Just do better as a unit, because you got a lot to carry, and you can't carry it as individuals. A 3-strand cord is stronger than one by itself. Take care.
Thank you. Next is Khadijah Erickson, followed by Jennifer Robinson.
Hello, my name is Khadijah Erickson. I, as you know, live on the north side of Lansing, and I do a lot of work with the unhoused in this community, and I want to talk to you about a couple things. Number one, I'd like to talk about Matt Staples and what he does every Wednesday. There have been multiple times that Matt Staples has come into Judge Aquilina's courtroom and made very strange assertions about what the unhoused people at Dietrich Park are doing. Most recently, it was to come into the court and make it seem as though people doing their best to stay warm under a fuel ban is the same as building new structures. I appreciate the fact that Matt Staples likely has never had to live in a tent in which he had to insulate it against the cold temperatures, and that's great and all, but these people do, because they don't have the opportunity to use other fuel options in order to keep themselves warm. I have a cold injury. I've almost lost my feet to frostbite, so I particularly know how much it sucks to be cold for an extended period of time with no relief. It is deadly for folks to be existing without a heat source. Are you aware that there are people right now sleeping over the vents downtown to stay warm because there are no room in the shelter, there's no room at the outreach, and there's no housing available for them? Are you aware that there are 800 plus people on the coordinated entry list? Thus, it's going to take a while for the people at Dietrich Park to get there. Are you also aware that it's prioritized by vulnerability? So if anybody from the Dietrich encampment aren't determined to be vulnerable enough, they're just going to sit there on the wait list like so many other people who have been on there for many, many months, 6, 7, 8, 9 plus months, right? And so the idea that it's acceptable for these people to be under a fuel ban, that the city attorney is going into the courtroom and essentially making it seem as though these people are committing a crime by trying to keep warm, is insane. Doesn't make any sense. And Matt Staples is always saying out of one side of his mouth that, you know, he's really committed to the idea of these people accessing housing and they want to work with us. But why was it that it took 3 weeks for Matt Staples to get the water to the camp that they desperately need? Why is it that the hand washing stations are now missing from the encampment? Where are those? When will they be back? When will there be regular water deliveries to the water? And what is the city's plan to ensure the water that they bring out there doesn't freeze? Because believe it or not, they're still going to need to drink it once it's delivered, right? So these are considerations that need to be made when we put blanket fuel bans, when we allow the city attorney to go in and make any kind of assertions about what is happening at Dietrich Park. It's crazy. You know, if he were making his regular water deliveries, he wouldn't walk into the court and say that new people are moving in there. He would see the progression of people doing their best to stay warm when, again, they aren't able to use a fuel source. Pisanos is coming in complaining about generators, which, again, is a way for people to stay warm. You do understand that people will lose limbs, people will die in this weather. It is very important that you guys get it together and do what you need to do to actually make sure people are not freezing to death in the cold.
Thank you. Next is Jennifer Robertson, maybe, followed by Kit Farron.
All right, my name's Jennifer Robertson. I moved to the homeless encampment April 1st of this year, and I struggle with trying to stay cool in the summer, and then now staying warm in the winter. I have multiple sclerosis and a seizure disorder, and I don't know when either one of those are going to come on. I just wake up in the hospital the next day or later that day. It's very cold there, and now, like it was stated, they had porta potties out there, and you could wash your hands, but now the hand washing is no longer there. So I don't know if, I guess they'll figure that we'll not wash our hands after using the bathroom and maybe get sick because we're not able to wash our hands. I know that I went to a meeting about possibly getting these homeless pods or some kind of pods of some sort, and nothing else has come back from that. I mean, I'm one of the people that were at the camp not too long ago. He passed away, unfortunately. And I don't want to see any more of us pass away because we don't have what we need as humans. We're not animals. I don't really know what else to say because, I mean, I've gone to the court with Judge Agolina 4 or 5 times, but still nothing has come in our favor other than we didn't have to leave. Now we can't have fires, things like that. Things are necessary to live. I don't know what else to say, so I'll just let the next person over.
Thank you. Kit Farron, followed by Darren.
Hi, everyone. My name is Kit. I've lived in Lansing for 3 years, Ward 1. A lot of what I wrote actually has already been said much better than me. I just want to come back around to the point at which I want to say mid-October, following one of the rulings from Judge Aquilina, path workers did come out to camp and get at least 7 people signed up in the process of being put on housing wait lists or shelter wait lists. And as you've heard from others, since then, 1 person has received a voucher from that. I want to give a little more detail about her. Her name is Ivy, and she's still out there right now, tonight. She can't move in until November. And I asked her to come to camp, or to come to speak with y'all tonight, but she couldn't, and so I got her to record a quick message. Now, I apologize, I really put her on the spot, but I felt like, we need to get more of their voices directly to you, so I'm gonna go ahead and play about 30 seconds. She keeps it clean, I'll give her that much.
Say your name too. Ivy, we need more heat sources like heaters. Everybody's gonna get frostbite, and right now my toes are gonna fall off. My friends' toes are gonna fall off, and I think it's BS that we all have to go without heaters and heat sources. So we need more heater, resources, and it's just BS, period.
Again, I feel like she could have done worse, and I really put her on the spot. So, she did everything right? Y'all reached her, and now she's on a wait list, and she's out there right now tonight under the blue warning. Her tent collapsed because of snow on it, so I hope she's going to be all right tonight. So I wanted to address the council at large, but also the mayor and the city's attorney, to take any and every action to address the actual public health crisis that is unfolding right now. We're motivated. We've worked all summer long to meet the city more than halfway. We've tried really, really hard, and we're going to keep trying. And I get that, maybe not everyone here is exactly of the same mind that dignity is only afforded to those who are willing to work their lives away. But I don't believe that. And my friends Mike and Khadijah and Darren, we don't believe that. And we are willing to put in the work that you aren't. We just need you to meet us halfway. And we could, the conversation can start with how to work around this propane ban. I think that Mike has offered some great opportunities to begin that discussion, to work together, to problem solve. We're willing to do this work. Just please meet us halfway.
Thank you. Next is Darren, followed by Frederick McLaughlin.
If you've ever worked a service role, you know that your job is not about you, but about those that you serve. Some service roles, such as a cashier or waiter, may allow people to refuse service as a matter of their safety, but others do not. I've had years as a nurse aide and a caregiver. It did not matter what I thought about their personality, their political views. If they insulted me, threatened, or assaulted me, my patients came to me on my worst days, when they were sick, in pain, afraid, confused, and possibly after everyone that they loved had abandoned them. It was my role to make sure that within the purview of my job description, their needs were taken care of and to help them feel safe. Even now, as a volunteer bringing food and supplies to our unhoused, it is not my role to carry judgments. It is my role to feed them and keep them safe. You also have that kind of service job. You do not have the luxury of judgment nor opinions over your constituents. It is your job to ensure that our needs are met and that they are met with the resources that you have. And when you meet the needs of the most vulnerable, everyone else benefits. But if you neglect them to only focus on those that you have deemed worthy, society crumbles and you are failing us. There are hundreds of constituents that are at risk of freezing or starving to death this winter, and you have committed no solutions. The people on the street are not there because of their own failing. They are there because of your lack of leadership. I have witnessed Matt Staples lie under oath, claiming that the city provides housing to every single homeless person before sweeping them, but it does not. Lying about the HRCS being attacked by dogs. They are not. Claims that it is impossible to meet court orders to provide sanitation, water, and housing to the camp. It is not impossible, and you are in contempt. This past Wednesday, he made false claims of criminal activity and that the people at the camp are not the same as the people that were there 2 months ago. These are the same people, and they are waiting for the housing that they were promised that you are refusing to deliver. With the weather getting colder, the community, in spite of your failures, has provided pallets and Tyvek for weatherization, which Staples has lied and claimed that these were new structures. But this is not enough to keep them alive through this winter. Being damp or wet in the winter is death, and with the propane and fire ban, how are you planning to keep our neighbors from freezing to death this winter? Unless your goal is to kill more people, you need to provide them with accessible warmth. You can't just expect everyone to go to city rescue mission when it is full. People are going to die if you don't step up to the task that is required by the jobs that you are elected to do. At least 2 of our neighbors that I serve died in the last month due to your leadership directly. Our neighbors deserve safe housing. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Our final speaker is Frederick McLaughlin.
Thank you, council members. Fred McLaughlin, 1407 West Holmes Road. I want to reflect a little bit more on the Mod Pods that I saw the other evening at the Southwest Constituent get-together. And it made me think that we want to make sure that we don't run the risk of putting up multi-story buildings and also putting up these Mod Pods, making these Mod Pods available. I can't believe what is it, $500,000, something like that? That's pretty shocking. But in any case, we run the risk of warehousing people. And, it may get them out of sight, and I'm not implying that that's your intent. That may be something that happens, but nonetheless, we want to make sure that they not only get housed, but they also get all kinds of counseling. And in that regard, there's a woman named Reverend Faith Fowler of the Cass Community Services Tiny Homes in the Detroit area. And she has put together a program over the last couple of decades or so. And she's got people getting counseling from entry levels of being homeless and not really knowing how to bring together a home, to people who know what it is to have a home, but still need some assistance in getting it together so they'll have their own home, to people who've just fallen on temporary hard times but are fairly readily available to go back into housing. But what they all lack is a home. And so she puts them to work getting counseling of various sorts that are extremely important, and also giving them trade skills in building their own homes. So they're vested in those homes. And at the end of it, they end up having an asset that they can actually make use of as a financial asset. So she's going to be coming into town, speaking at the land use luncheon that is regularly handled the last Friday, which would be this Friday, or rather the second Friday of the month. It'll be between noon and 1 o'clock. It sometimes trickles over from that. My friend Liz Harrow, who's an architect, hosts it through NIDMEAC, Mid-Michigan Environmental Action Council. So any of you who are interested in going there to learn about housing and how she has successfully done this with no public financing is impressive.
Thank you.
All right, with no further business, we're adjourned at 9:56.